Good morning, pop culture. We are live. It's Tuesday, July 17th, 2018. It's 7:45 in the morning, and I'm back to start a brand new week of Good Morning Pop Culture here with all you wonderful people on World Class Bullshitters. So, we're going to wait for people to file in. Good morning to everyone. How was your weekend? Let me know over in the chat what you guys did this weekend if you had any fun. After the abomination that was the Star Wars The Last Jedi watch party, I drank myself to sleep. I got up, I went to Kings Island, I walked around in the hot sun, and I passed out that evening and had the worst night of sleep of my life. That was about it. I worked on a video, and for those wondering in the comments where yesterday's video was, I got some information, so I started working on another video, but that was so dense that I'm going back and going to finish the one today and get that out for you guys so you can check out the one I have already in the works. Oh, you watched Skyscraper. Jesus. We're going to be talking about Skyscraper today. Just to let you guys know, the early arrivers here on the show, we have a stacked Good Morning Pop Culture. We're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 9 and why I think 2 parts is just dumb. We're going to talk about the weekend box office. We're going to talk about Netflix's first failure. We're going to talk about Comcast and Disney. And then, as always, we close the show with Ask Jeff Anything. So it's going to be a pretty awesome morning. So if you're on your way to work, if you're on your way to summer classes at college, if you're just up early and you wanted to talk and listen, well, welcome in. Tonight's High Council is here on World Class Bullshitters. We're going to have Pat from Please Rewind, and we're also going to have Dion from World Class Bullshitters, because you guys love Dion's rants, and you love my debates with Jeremy, so I thought, why not give you both? When the High Council's here on World Class Bullshitters, we always try to give you stuff that you can't get anywhere else on YouTube, so you don't want to miss out on that this morning. That'd be weird if it was on this morning and this evening. So, let's see. Tons and tons of people. Did I get any good Prime deals? No, I did not get any good Prime deals. I'm not a Prime member. I have Kendo's Prime login for streaming, but there's really no reason for me to get Amazon Prime, because even if I choose the free shipping option that's not 2 days, I live right by an Amazon hub, so I get my stuff right away no matter what, so I don't have to pay the extra money. Oh, I'll tear into his Force Awakens argument. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Wait till this Friday when we're on his channel and we're watching The Force Awakens as a group. That's going to be a clusterfuck. It's not going to be a pretty episode. If you thought The Last Jedi was rough, which is more depressing than rough, wait till you hear the anger and vitriol I have for The Force Awakens. Don't worry, Rods. We're going to talk about that. This show is not a Star Wars-centric episode. I basically wanted to use Good Morning Pop Culture to talk about this rumor, why I think it's stupid, and why I won't be making separate dedicated videos to it. Because, quite frankly, Star Wars Episode 9 can kiss my ass. I got something bigger to worry about. I found the Scott Mendelson Prime, the extreme version of Scott Mendelson. If Scott Mendelson was concentrated into a mass of garbage and anger and words they think they know how to use but they don't, well, it'd be this guy that I found. So if that excites you, if that interests you, make sure you find that video next week here on the channel. Oh, you passed out after the commentary. That's rough. I laid in bed for a couple minutes and just questioned what the hell I went through. It was rough, man. It was rough. I'm not trying to be funny. I absolutely hated watching The Last Jedi this weekend. It just made me realize that the last few months of my life have not been in vain, because that movie truly is as terrible as everyone says, and the reaction, the treatment of the fans is not justified. Those people need to be brought to task. The Force Awakens is not on a stream, but I have a digital copy of it, so that's how I'll be viewing it. And if you don't want to watch the movie, guys, here's my strong suggestion. Get yourself a copy of Star Wars Episode 4 and New Hope, and you line it up with The Force Awakens, and you'll have the same exact movie. There we go. Let's see. Christopher Lowe, thank you for your super chat. Y'all need to get the Star Wars girl to do the Force Awakens review with y'all. That is on Jeremy. I will relay your message to Jeremy to try to make that happen. The way we all work is whatever's on our channels, we're responsible for reading the chat as well as getting the guests and stuff like that. So Christopher Lowe, I will tell Jeremy that this afternoon when I talk to him on Skype, or not Skype, when I talk to him over on Twitter, and we'll see if that's possible. What the hell am I doing up so early, man? You are late to the party. This is Good Morning Pop Culture. This is our, fourth week here on the channel with Good Morning Pop Culture, and the show keeps getting better every week, keeps growing. Waiting to hit that 200 today, but it's only been 5 minutes, so I can't act like we're so far behind. Is John Schnepp dead yet? I hope not. I hope not. I haven't heard anything since last night's stream where I saw that he was rushed into he was in critical condition after he was rushed to the hospital. So we don't do the thoughts and prayers here thing here, but let's just hope for the best. Yes, we'll do a solo stream when it hits Blu-ray. We'll have to flip a coin for who gets to do that one on their channel. So we are so close. We are 10 viewers away from hitting 200, which means it's the start point. Oh, you don't have to apologize about not knowing about Good Morning Pop Culture. Just if you have the chance, watch it every day, every Tuesday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Eastern through 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a lot of fun. It definitely is worth getting up at the crack of dawn for. I kind of get excited now. I get to bed late, wake up early, I'm ready for the show. So we are almost there. So you know what? Let's start. We have 190. Here we go, 200 viewers. Let's start with the main topic for this morning. So this morning's main topic is a hypothetical, if you will, a what if. Do you guys remember the Marvel What If series? Press F if you remember the Marvel Comics What If series that came out in the 70s and 80s into the 90s. I really liked it. But what if Star Wars Episode 9 is a two-part film? I think that's a terrible, terrible idea. I think Episode 9 is in more trouble than we realize, and Star Wars, are in more trouble than they realize. So what I mean by that is, before, when Star Wars films came out, they were the biggest cultural event of the year in terms of movies. Everyone would get lined up to go see the films. It was exciting. It was, you're building towards this big finale, be it the destruction of Darth Vader in the, back in the day with Luke becoming a Jedi, or the creation of Darth Vader with Anakin in the prequels. And now we don't have anything to look forward to. But besides that, let's talk about why Disney is in a much worse place than they thought they would be just a few short years ago. Other companies have to be aware of the Star Wars backlash. Other companies have to be aware of the failing merchandise, the loss of market share, the way the fans are reacting to the way that Disney is treating the fans, and how the fans are fighting back with a lack of respect or excitement for their products. Like I said on last week's video, this is about to be a huge dry spell for Star Wars. For the next calendar year, there's really not much coming out. Unless Disney announces something big at Comic-Con this weekend, I don't expect Star Wars to be captivating people's attention for the next year. It's going to be a smaller group of people talking about Episode 8 and 9, and that's why we're moving into the EU here on the channel eventually. I'm assembling a team, a group of EU Avengers, if you will, and basically, if you want to get on that panel, you just have to email us, worldclassbs@mail.com, and you can get on that panel, and we're going to discuss the EU, and you're going to teach me on air, so that'll be fun. But with this year dry spell and the market share falling for Star Wars merchandise and stuff like that, other companies have to be aware. So they have balls. They have the balls to release stuff around Star Wars and not be afraid. You'd think that these companies, if they were truly afraid of Disney Star Wars, they wouldn't be putting stuff out really close to the finale of this widely loved trilogy. And that's, sarcasm if you can't tell this early in the morning. But we have Wicked coming out the same day as Star Wars Episode 9. We have Jumanji 3 coming out the weekend before. Star Wars, in many ways, just needs to get through this next movie and take a quick break. I'm not saying Jumanji's going to make $1 trillion, but I'll say Jumanji will take a decent little chunk out of Star Wars. But I think Wicked's going to be the one to surprise the most people. You get your armchair people like your John Campions, your Devin Faracis, all those people out there that, you know, have their finger on the pulse of entertainment. But they're coming from out west where they're close to the source. Now, I'm not saying I have my fingers to the pulse of the same source, but when a movie comes out that's female-centric like that, groups of women assemble to go see these movies. Now, Wicked's been a thing, at least on my radar, for the last 12 years. My aunt read the book, and I think she saw the play, and then there's like a musical or something. Basically, my aunt bought into this shit. And I've seen tons of, you know, middle-aged to older women that buy into this kind of stuff. Like I said, the 50 Shades of Grey, they bought into that. They'll come out in droves to see certain movies, and I think Wicked will appeal to that audience. So the cinemas are going to win in the long run, because you go down to your local AMC and it's going to be jam-packed. People are here to see the holdover from Jumanji, the debut of Wicked, the debut of Star Wars, stuff like that. So don't think that Star Wars has a guarantee to be blowing these other movies out of the water. I think it would be hilarious if, you know, Star Wars Episode 9 debuted at number 2. Imagine that. Imagine if it even debuted at number 3, like The Rock's movie Skyscraper, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Imagine if Star Wars gets all the hype, all the pomp and circumstance. Wicked is new and fresh and appeals to a certain demographic, and it takes the number 1 spot. Jumanji blew everyone away that didn't go see it the first weekend, so they come back the second weekend. And it's Star Wars, who is now the redheaded stepchild and does not get that number 1 spot. Imagine how we're laughing at it here on the channel. Imagine how Disney's flailing. Imagine how Kathleen Kennedy just feels that noose tightening, like her ass is about to be gone if that kind of stuff happens. We live in a world now where this is all a possibility. 2015, you knew that Star Wars Episode 7 was going to make some bank. 2008, it made bank, but much less. And now, with the last 7 months in damaging the brand, it's chipping away every day. Anything's possible with the world of entertainment right now. Sometimes these companies put all their eggs in one basket and they think they're going to do something big, like Universal with their Dark Universe, and it didn't happen. The Mummy was dead on arrival. It came out, people forgot about it. We did a commentary for it on our Patreon, and that was about it. People have moved on. People aren't worried about the universe building anymore. Hell, the Marvel universe is starting to show signs of weakness. The cracks are beginning to form in that foundation. When somebody like me says Ant-Man was good, but I've seen enough, well, I'm one of those super dedicated fans. You know, it's time to get your shit together, guys. So I don't think that Episode 9 will be split into 2 parts, but if it is split into 2 parts, I think it'll be a sign of desperation. You may need 2 films to fix Episode 8 and then tell the whole Episode 9 story, but maybe you would just want to make Episode 10. We already have confirmation that Daisy Ridley is not coming back for Episode 10, if there is one. She said she's done at Episode 9, which is good. Now, some people could say, but what if that means Rey's getting killed off? One thing we all have to understand, especially when we watch YouTube videos, you need to watch the release dates of the videos and when the thing that was said was being reported on. So Daisy Ridley said she was done with Episode 9 months ago. This whole what if Episode 9 is split into 2 parts or there's an Episode 10 type of thing is fairly new, if it even is real. So if they decide to do more movies, don't think that means she's going to be killed off. If anything, she's going to destroy the universe herself, and her and Reylo, or whatever the fuck they're calling that power couple, it's going to be dumb. Coffee. So we just need to understand that Star Wars is in the worst place it's been maybe ever. I don't consider it being in a bad place in 1984 after it ended and they were moving on to other things. Lucas had moved on to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and other projects, behind the scenes stuff. He was somehow involved with the Pixar thing. Maybe he funded it. I don't say he created it, but there are all kinds of things George Lucas was focused on in the 80s post Star Wars. And then Star Wars came back and it was great again. And then the prequels came out, but the prequels couldn't really damage the allure of Star Wars. Now anything is possible, guys. Anything is possible. Yes, Star Wars is a laughingstock, and yes, splitting Episode 9 into 2 parts would be disrespectful to George Lucas. I've noticed there's a lot of anger over on our Facebook page about people praising George Lucas, or you're looking back in retrospect like, oh, George Lucas wasn't perfect. George Lucas wasn't perfect. George Lucas's prequels had tons of problems, but from a core story aspect, they at least felt like Star Wars. From a visual storytelling aspect, they felt like Star Wars. There were some really cool shots in the prequels that episode 7 and 8 don't have. When we watched episode 8 the other night, the cinematography was horseshit. There were really bad shots. There were gaffes where like the lightsaber disappeared and all that shit. There are just so many things that they gloss over. It's a very lazily produced film. It shows you what you can do with an infinite budget in theory in 3 years, as opposed to an infinite budget in theory in a year and a half. I don't care if they've increased the crew by 5-fold or whatever. Go back and watch how Revenge of the Sith was made on the Blu-ray or the DVD, and go back and watch how episode 8 was made. And you can see the master, using quotations, at work finishing off his saga. The Star Wars saga was meant to end with the prequels. You can see how much work goes into that. And then when Rian Johnson takes over, it's just another project. Last night on our live stream, one of our patron made a really, really, really great point. They talked about how Rian Johnson maybe directed great episodes of Breaking Bad, but a director on a TV show is like a babysitter, and it's the producers that really, produce the show, and it gives it what it was. And I thought that was a good point. I always talk about Vince Gilligan, the guy that did Breaking Bad. Rian Johnson wasn't really involved with making that show what it was. If there are 100 pieces that make Breaking Bad great, Rian Johnson is the smallest, roundest one. So, but Rian Johnson's fully responsible for what we got. And that's where we are with Star Wars. It's not good. Episode 9 is very, very, very important, but they should be on their best behavior for the next couple months. They need to go radio silence. It's funny, they think going radio silent will silence a channel like us or the other guys on the High Council, but no, we have an audience that cares, and we'll be able to keep an eye out for what's happening with Star Wars. So don't think that the silence from the Star Wars camp means that this channel is going to go away. We will remember for you guys what happened with Star Wars Episode 8's massive failure, and we will remember how bad the merchandise is. And I actually have another merchandise video popping up, because now Star Wars toys are popping up in the cheapest of cheap stores, and you guys are going to have a good laugh at that one. So just don't worry is what I'm saying. Just relax and know that World Class Bullshitters is here. Yeah, George Lucas should have done the sequel trilogy in the 90s instead of the prequels. I always say that Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher looked pretty damn good at 97 through 99. You could have started filming that. I know Harrison Ford would have come back, because I guess he would have felt like he owed it to George, and George would have kept Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia alive. That's the alternate reality. We always talk about these alternate realities. Like in the alternate reality where that movie is made, there's Christopher Reeve is still Superman, and Reeve never had his accidents. Pierce Brosnan did one more Bond movie. Like, all these great things happened in this alternate universe, and the Star Wars sequels were made in 99, 02, and 05. So that's an alternate universe I might like to visit one of these days. The Pui, thank you for your super chat. Good morning, Jeff. You are truly wise beyond your years. Say hi to your mom for us. Thank you, The Pui. I always like your positivity, and I will. She's at work today, but I will tell her hey from The Pui and everyone that listens to World Class Bullshitters. She's very, very happy with the way the channel's been going, and happy to see that all the hard work's been paying off. And I'm happy too. It's definitely worth it. It's a full-time gig, like I always say, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And nobody was admitted to a psych ward after the High Council viewing The Last Jedi. Jeremy was very upset. Ethan coddled him. Ivan Ortega had to leave immediately because he had to take a shower. So press F if you guys would like me to move on to the next segment. Have you had enough Star Wars? Can you ever have enough Star Wars? Remember, I will cycle back to this at the top of the hour. It won't be as in depth. I spent, 20 minutes talking about episode 9. Maybe at the top of the next hour, I'll throw out predictions. How's that? All right, we're seeing quite a few Fs here. So I guess that means it's time to move on from Star Wars. Oh, a G, couple Gs. Hey, Rugis, by the way, I finally watched Buckaroo Banzai. That's what I wanted to bring up in the opening of the show real quick. I had a little bit of time when I was laid up after the park, and I watched some movies this weekend. I saw Buckaroo Banzai, I rewatched American Psycho, and I watched this really bizarre film called Mom and Dad. And it was fucking weird. It was Nicolas Cage meets The Purge meets trying to kill your kids. Andrew, thank you that you consider us your Last Jedi support group. We will never leave you behind. And I don't think they'll ever reboot Star Wars 7 through 9 without Kathleen Kennedy. But don't be surprised if throughout history they don't talk about it as much. That's how these film franchises do when they have an unsuccessful film or series of films. They don't really talk about it. For example, now here's a weird example that'll still prove my point. On Her Majesty's Secret Service at the time was considered bad. Therefore, they didn't talk about it for years. And it showed up in a truncated version on ABC, and that was kind of the only way you could watch the movie for decades. And then years later, it was respected and kind of got the praise it deserves. But there's still that small segment of people that think it was terrible because it didn't have Sean Connery. Same thing goes with Star Wars Episode 7, 8, and 9. People thought Episode 7 was this great movie, and already within 3 years, people are kind of like, it wasn't as good, and blah, blah, blah. So they will try to distance themselves from these movies, and mark my words, when Disney promotes Star Wars in the future after this trilogy, they'll probably lean back on Han, Luke, and Leia through nostalgia and all kinds of stuff. Be prepared to see all that stuff if it doesn't just fall apart. So, let's get on to that next topic that I promised you guys. So, we'll keep it tangentially related to this. So, Comcast may bow out of 21st Century Fox bidding. Well, I think it's been pretty much confirmed that Disney is going to be able to control the world now. So this comes from the New York Post. Trust that source if you will. It says, the months-long bidding war for 21st Century Fox's movie and television assets may be over. Comcast, which has been locked in a you can't top this contest with Disney for the prized Fox assets, is unlikely to submit a sweetened bid on top of the current bid from the Mouse, according to a report. Instead, Comcast will turn its attention and financial firepower to its concurrent efforts to win a bidding contest for the British TV network Sky. Oh, okay, that makes sense. CNBC report citing sources, Comcast did not return calls for a comment. Disney recently raised its offer for Fox's assets to $71 billion, besting Comcast's bid of $65 million in cash. At the same time, Comcast has been battling Fox for control of Sky. Fox owns 39% of the satellite TV providers and is bidding for the remaining 61%. Fox's latest bid values Sky at $32.5 billion. Comcast's latest bid valued the UK company at $34 billion. So I won't go into the stuff about the Sky network because I don't know how many people here are over in the UK that listen, but this is just another step for Disney. If Star Wars was the failed franchise that they couldn't get to launch properly, or put it like this, they got it to launch properly. We can't act like the other ones were failures and they didn't make all their money back and they're making money now. But they're not able to sustain it. Star Wars is not a sustainable franchise. It's not. I'm trying to think of a sustainable franchise right now, because you ever notice that all the franchises seem to be flailing and that people are just not consuming them as much? You have the Marvel movies that are doing fine, except Ant-Man 2, which had a huge drop. But overall, like, DC can't get a foothold. Star Wars has fallen on its face. They couldn't launch a Power Rangers franchise. Star Trek is effectively dead. All of these big things are in the shitter right now. I wonder why or how that's possible. Let me know if you guys have noticed that too. It's kind of sad. But if 21st Century Fox is now owned by Disney. Prepare your favorite Fox shows. Prepare for your favorite Fox shows to be leaving the streaming services of Netflix and Hulu relatively soon. I don't know how that's going to. Like Hulu might close shop. And I'm not saying I have any insider information or there's been anything like that, but the appeal of Hulu is it has certain networks that have their shows air the next day on the network. If Fox does, or if Disney owns that and doesn't allow that and puts that shit on their own streaming service, that's a chunk of Hulu gone. It's gonna hurt it. I mean, that's really gonna hurt them. And Hulu will need to sweeten their deal by getting better movies, which I think they have recently. Okay, yeah, you make a good point, John, about franchises. Problems are due to lack of quality, citing the Alien movies. Yeah, plus I think Alien movies are. I'm not saying Alien or Aliens wasn't an A-list property at one point in time, but it's not anymore. And I don't think enough people just care about it. Same with this new Predator movie. I know that the internet will tell you, hey, Shane Black is back and this, that, and the other thing. But I don't see Predators or Predator, whatever the new one's called, taking the world by storm in September. I think that's going to be a modest hit, if anything, and then go away. I'm not saying it's because it's R. I just think that Predator was famous because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And people kept it alive through the comic books and the toys. But the other Predator films were okay at best. We've already peaked. It's not like it's been Predator. The Predator franchise wasn't like, hell, we'll just use Terminator for an example, another Arnold Schwarzenegger franchise. With Predator, or with Terminator, you had one was good and made a bunch of money on video. Then 2 came out and was one of the biggest movies of all time. And then 3 came out and was a big hit financially, but it sucked. And then they've been able to keep Terminator going because those 3 launching ones. Alien and Predator, well, Predator was like, the first one was great and a big hit. Then the second one, no. And then there was a huge gap. And then there was just that. So I don't see certain franchises like Alien and Predator. I see those type in the same boat. And I don't see them as like a long-term sustainable one. That's why you can get the NECA figures and stuff like that. Those properties aren't super expensive to make. Or not to make, but to, acquire for stuff. Yes, I do. I don't know how much it will flop, Trent, but it won't be for everyone that asks me about what I think of the trailer. I say people like that will go out and see the movie, and you may get your 40 or 50-year-old guys that went and saw Predator back in the day. But guys, it was an Arnold flick. It wasn't about the Predator that made that movie interesting or memorable or quotable. It was the fact that it was an Arnold flick. Same thing with Commando. Same thing with Total Recall. All those movies, they were Arnold flicks. And at one point in time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the top of the A-list. In many ways, he's a lot of A-listers. He's an A-lister to A-listers type of thing. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he dies, it'll be a sad day for many people, but he'll never be forgotten. Much like a Stallone won't be forgotten. Much like Harrison Ford won't be forgotten. They're in a very elite class of actors. Hi, Recluser Art Grimaldus. Thank you for your super chat and good morning. Did you know they leaked the plot details online? Sounds like garbage. Like Army property, Predators riding in a tank. Garbage. Check it out. Oh. First off, I have not seen the leak, so I will do my best to find that. But I think with a lot of like sci-fi properties, they try to do too much, and that sounds like too much. The cool part of Predator, at least for me, was the fact that it was man versus beast. Dutch's entire team, these elite killing squad, they were all wiped out by one creature, Predator, or whatever it was called. It has some name, and I don't know the name. I'm just going to call it Predator. But the allure of that movie was to Arnold's team being wiped out one by one. What the hell is killing them? What skinned this, that, and the other? How are they put in the jungle? Oh, it was a trap by Carl Weathers. There were layers to that movie. I'm not saying it was the most engaging film ever made, but it had all these elements to make it fun and rewatchable and great. And it was simple. Realistically, Predator was a very simple film. It was man versus beast in the jungle. With this now, we're getting all this crap. In many ways, that's why I like the first Star Wars movie more than I like other films in the franchise. It's very simple, it's straightforward, it gets to the point, and it does it very well. Predator just gets to the point and does it very well. I don't like the idea of different types of predator creatures and a tank and all kinds of shit. Like, this movie could be clusterfuck. This could be a huge flop, and that's going to hurt two things. It's going to hurt the Predator franchise from ever getting any more movies unless it's a straight reboot, and it's going to hurt R-rated action films because some pundit on the internet's going to say rated R films don't have much of a life and this, that, and the other, and it's, we need to stick with this type of movie for the sake of the box office. And they'll listen to a Scott Mendelson, and then we will be, out of R-rated action flicks, which is not good for anyone. I think the R-rated action flick has made a steady return thanks to John Wick. I haven't seen Death Wish, but stuff like that gets made as a response. And you got, put your movies out in February and you'll find your old guy audience that will go see it. And you'll get the young guy audience too that watched that shit on tape in the 90s when it was a little more taboo but fun. You shouldn't be watching this and that because it's too bloody and gory, but you should be watching it. But I'll check out these plot leaks online. I wasn't even sold on the damn trailer. So that's just me. Oh man, Disney owning Fox, no new season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I will sound controversial and say that I hope there is never another episode of that show. Hear me out. It's my favorite show. That and The Twilight Zone are tied for number one, and then Miami Vice is tied for there too. I digress. My point is, I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a fantastic TV show. It's so funny. But the episode that ended season 12 is the perfect closer to the series. Not just a good closer for a season, but there's nothing left for the characters to achieve. Charlie, his goal was to sleep with the waitress. He got that. Complete. Charlie's story's over. Mac. I don't care what people say about Mac. Mac wasn't written as a gay character in the beginning. He was very narcissistic, but he was straight. Go back and watch those earlier episodes. Mac was not a gay guy. He wasn't living in denial. That shit that Rob Elhenney and the rest of the crew came up with later to try to either be progressive or just be funny. It didn't work. It's not that funny. Mac was never gay beforehand. He switched it up middle of the show. So I don't buy into that. But he's doing whatever he's doing. Basically, Mac, Dee, and Frank are back at the bar wasting their lives away. And then Dennis finally gets away and moves on in his life. His SUV is destroyed. The characters have all basically returned to their basic functions while he's moved on. There's nothing else for that show. I hope that I wish they wouldn't be making season 13, but there's already a preview out for that. So not a preview, but like a poster and all that shit. So it's in production right now. I'm worried. I wish they would have ended that show before we got to the next season, but hey, that's just me. You've never seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where you need to go out and watch that. It's got Jeff's 2 thumbs up of approval. You'll definitely like that. But not just It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia will suffer. You'll have, what else will suffer? That Last Man Standing revival isn't happening on Fox. You're not going to see... Like I said, a lot of your favorite movies are going to disappear from streaming services and be put on the Disney streaming service. But I think Disney, if they really want to do that, should just put out like their kiddie programming and market to the kids that actually like Disney. Oh, Disney's family entertainment. Cool. Not in this family. I don't want to watch Mickey Mouse. I hate Mickey Mouse and Donald and all those fucking stupid characters. I've never liked Disney at all. I liked Warner Brothers, but Disney can just kiss my ass. Ugh. Family Guy's probably gone. The Simpsons will finally get closure. That King of the Hill revival that was rumored, that ain't gonna happen either. Look at the side of the spectrum Disney lies on and what they promote. King of the Hill and stuff like that would never see life on a Disney platform. Yeah, I detest Disney as well. I've never seen the final episode of Seinfeld because I don't really like that show. I'm sorry if I've offended your sensibilities when I said that. But I remember catching Seinfeld as a kid on reruns. And when Seinfeld was on, it was always time for me to change the channel because I knew I wasn't going to like it. Beavis and Butthead got a revival in 2011, and it wasn't successful. Plus, Beavis and Butthead is MTV, so that's what, Viacom? And they're involved with CBS and all that shit. Somehow, MTV properties are safe from Disney's grasp, which is calming, soothing. That also means that Nickelodeon can't be purchased by Disney, so that's a nice thing, too. So while we're railing on Disney and their streaming service and all that stuff, yeah, the Daria revival is coming up. Let's talk about the next topic for this morning. Something that I've talked about at great length on the podcast, but now we're starting to hear a little more about it. And this is the one I really want to talk about. To me, this is the meat of the show. First off, Midnight Cherry TV, thank you very much for your super chat. Been watching Cheers and Workaholics, replaced Sunny. Dion loves Workaholics. That him and Hillary, or he and Hillary, they just absolutely love that show. Now, Cheers for me was a lot like Seinfeld and MASH. When it came on TV, I watched something else. I just never got in on those shows. No, MTV is not calming. The fact that Disney can't acquire their shit is calming. Don't be surprised, though, if the View Askew universe is purchased by Disney for $12 and a large pizza from Kevin Smith. That's the future of entertainment. We talked about the Daria revival maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. They had an article on Screen Rant. Hold on. I guess I can pull that up for you guys since it seems like people are surprised. Let's see. Here we go right here. June 21st. First, before we get into that, a super chat from the High Recluse Arc Romaldus. Thank you very much. All right, I'll give you one. The kid in Predator is autistic. His autism allows him to communicate with predators. Didn't know they were autistic. That's real? I don't like kids involved in action flicks like that. Like, why wouldn't the creature just blow it apart? Like, why does the creature want to communicate with humanity? It wants to come here and hunt originally. Why would it even listen to that kid? That was if that's really a plot point, I'm pissed off. That's so dumb. That is so dumb. So, thank you, High Recluse Arc Grimaldus. If you want to link me to all of those, feel free to over on our Facebook page, and I'll read through them, and I'll talk to Dion about them on this week's episode of World Class Bullshiters, or just remind us on the podcast proper, and we'll cover that like that. So yeah, this Daria, Real World, and Aeon Flux revivals are coming to MTV, and this was from Screen Rant on the 21st of June. So a lot of people are saying Daria was a product of its time, this, that, and the other. I think Daria will sadly be used to promote that agenda that we always talk about that they tried to force into Star Wars. And Daria was always socially awkward but made good points, and now she's just going to be even worse than before. There's no Jane Lane coming back. Daria was a show I loved as a kid. I thought it was funny. The Six Sad World segments were incredible. I'll be skipping the revival based on the Beavis and Butthead revival, as well as based on modern MTV. They had that whole not dear white people thing, but they put out some really tasteless article or video a couple years back. And I said, never again will I watch MTV. They've been truly infected with this trash. And there's just nothing for me left on MTV. I'm 29. MTV was cool when I was 12 or 13 at the most. When you're watching Eminem music videos and you think, oh man, this is cool. Jackass is on at 11 and I can stay up because it's the summer. Yeah, MTV is shit nowadays. I tried watching it at somebody's house, like in 16 and Pregnant, Jersey Shore, Alabama Shore, or whatever, Florida, Georgia Shore. What the hell happened to TV? I don't want to sound like an old man on my porch, but what happened to like thought behind a TV show? Now they just point a camera at stupid people and expect us to watch. I don't like stupid people in real life. I'm not going to watch stupid people on TV unless they're like written that way and then they have layers of depth. these people on Jersey Shore never had that. And yes, I used to watch the animated Spider-Man show on MTV regularly. I thought it was a fantastic show. So let's get into what I actually wanted to talk about, the Netflix situation. So Netflix garbage programming is blamed for stock falling off a cliff. Have you guys heard about this? How Netflix stock dropped yesterday? Press F if you have. As I enjoy the last bits of this coffee. So, yes, remember when MTV was about music? So do I. I remember watching the MTV 20th anniversary in 2001. It was like a 24-hour marathon. And I stayed up for that whole day to watch it. So this comes from Gizmodo, which is part of the stupid Gawker family, or at least it was at one point in time. But it says that Netflix shares plummeted in after-hours trading following the release of the latest earnings report. The streaming giant missed the mark on several of its projections, and analysts are blaming its lackluster content. At the time of writing, Netflix shares were down around 14%, dropping from $400 a share to $343 a share. Reed Hastings called it a strong but not stellar quarter in a letter to shareholders. The top disappointment for investors was the addition of 5.15 million subscribers, close to 1 million fewer times than Netflix projected. Fewer users than expected means it also failed to meet its own estimate for revenue and earnings per share. Now, I'm going to save you guys the financial to not make this boring. But here's what I wanted to get into right here. Netflix doesn't The company has been clear with shareholders that original content is its focus, earmarking $8 billion to produce its own films and TV shows in 2018. Last month, it bumped that number up to $13 billion. Overall, the number of movies it offers is reportedly shrinking, while the TV show catalog has nearly tripled in size, according to Flixable. Netflix doesn't publicize how many people watch each of its individual properties, and it's not that important considering the fact that it's a subscription service. All that matters from Wall Street's perspective is that it retains users and adds new ones. That means keeping people happy and generating a lot of buzz for a hot new show. But if it throws more money into filling its content, it seems like the quality of its programming has been dropping. Earlier this year, an analyst report that its original shows are getting more thumbs down ratings from users, and the last time it felt like it had a new phenomenon on its hands was the release of Will Smith's Bright, a film that people mostly watched just to see if it was as bad as everyone said it was. Now, for me, it does matter how many people watch these shows, because I've never been quiet on the subject. I don't like Netflix original programming at all. It's got a stupid spin to it, an agenda, if you will. I don't like half the shows they put out. They're not for me. They're either for people that are too young or older, and it's just not stuff I want to watch. And on top of all that kind of stuff, it makes it a chore to stay subscribed. Like yesterday, I sat through and flipped through Netflix for about 15 minutes on the old PlayStation 3 to find something to look at, and it was just crap I don't care about. I don't want to watch Nova Cruise Ship. I don't want to watch weird seasons of Power Rangers and all this other shit. There's just stuff on there that doesn't appeal to me. It really makes it not worth my while. Bright was horrible. I watched that shit on the first day just out of curiosity, and I turned it off midway through. I used to love Will Smith. I used to think he was the fucking man. Don't like Will Smith anymore that much. Joel Edgerton. No, that's not Joel Edgerton, is it? Maybe it is. The dude from Star Wars Episode 2, Uncle Owen's an all-right actor. But that movie was dumb. I don't like how everything on Netflix is overtly political and just poorly made at times. Yeah, you have your Stranger Things, which is cool. And yeah, you had Glow, which I liked for personal reasons. My parents watched Glow when it was actually Glow on TV. So when I told my mom they were making a show about Glow, we had to watch it. So that's the one Netflix show that we sit down to watch together, because when she was pregnant with me, they were watching Glow. So it's very close to my family. But other than that, outside of the Marvel shit, they don't really get me hooked on their new original programming. And it's such a problem. The worst one for me, the biggest offender, the most heinous offender, was Orange is the New Black. I really liked that when it first came on. And then it got dumb. And then it got long in the tooth because Piper should have been out of jail. It got too preachy. It got too political. And then they killed off Poussey, which was the only character I genuinely liked. So I just stopped watching because I don't like any of the other characters. They're too indecisive. They flip-flop back and forth. That's a problem with all modern entertainment now. Characters don't remain characters. We can look at Star Wars. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker wasn't the old Luke Skywalker. He wasn't what Luke Skywalker would have evolved into. No character retains a sense of, like, I don't know what the right word to use would be, but they always would remain their character in a different scenario. You had that back in the day with Bond or other characters, with Indiana Jones, stuff like that. Hell, even Indiana Jones 4, the character of Indiana Jones retains some semblance of his old self while actually evolving into what his father was. So that makes sense. Him. Like, I hate Indiana Jones 4, and I'll say it sucks every day of the week, twice on Sunday. But I always have said, too, that Harrison Ford wasn't the biggest problem with the film. The story was aliens, Elena Spalko, CGI, Shia LaBeouf. There are so many problems, but Harrison Ford is not the biggest one of all of them. Sven Sandstrom, thank you for your super chat. I am older and Netflix original programming sucks. It does suck. I know they're trying to get that young audience, the millennial audience that killed Applebee's and all that other shit. But those people that they're trying to appeal to, don't they usually go out and do shit? I know a lot of older people in my family have Netflix and they're not watching it as much. Because I do ask people these things. I try to at least talk to my family, who I consider your average everyday Americans type of thing. And Netflix isn't what they watch as much. So a lot of them watch Hulu. A lot of them just watch basic TV. You know, streaming services are awesome because they are a go-to place where you can watch anything you want, no commercial, uncensored, all the time. But now with Disney trying to get into the game and soon to be the DC streaming service and all these other things, you're basically going to have a monthly price to get all these to watch the shows you want. That's just going to double your cable bill, and people aren't going to do it. Let's say cable costs you $90 a month. That includes internet service. Well, you need internet service to get your streaming service, and a lot of times it's bundled together and it's cheaper. So you'll have cable and you'll have all these streaming services, and eventually you're going to look at your bill and say, I'm cutting something. And if you cut the cable, your internet bill goes up and you need the internet, so you'll probably cut a streaming service. And I can see that happening relatively fast once there's too many streaming services out there. Original Netflix content isn't really original. Most of them are produced by Canadian networks, Sky, or other production companies. I know that they bought up Black Mirror, and that was stupid. It was good before there. Before the Netflix got involved. Midnight Cherry TV, thank you for your super chat. Boycott Netflix until Mystery Men is on demand. Hell yeah. Let's ask Universal to get that ball rolling. They got other shit on Netflix. Why not Mystery Men? I'm sure it would be really cheap to license Mystery Men for a streaming service. But I had another article to talk about with Netflix too. This one came from another source that I can't remember off the top of my head. Boom. So I wanted to bring this up, that Netflix was reportedly spending $12+ billion on content this year, more than any studio in the world. And yes, I understand that the other article mentioned that, but I wanted to break this down for you. Warner Brothers releases 23 films, the biggest number from any major studio this year. And Disney, who makes all the money in the world, releases only 10 films. Netflix is poised to release an astounding 82 films in 2018. That is more than 3 times Warner Brothers and 8 times Disney. To put that in other terms, imagine if Disney released a new film each week in theaters. That's over 50 films in a year, and still dozens less than Netflix. On the TV side of the equation, it's even more ludicrous. In 2018, Netflix will reportedly produce or procure 700 series. Of those 700 series, over 100 will be scripted dramas or comedies. Then you have the sheer onslaught of documentaries that the service has been gaining a reputation for, as well as some of the ridiculous amount of comedy specials. Historically, networks would focus on a dozen or more series each season. Netflix will be doing almost 10 times that. It says it's working As astronomical as their stats are, how implausible it feels the business is booming more than ever. Well, this article came out on the 5th of July, so we know that that's not necessarily the case. See, these numbers blow me away because even if you sat down to watch a movie a weekend with your, your lady or your dude or whatever, that is such a huge amount of things to try to consume over a year. You can't even find everything on Netflix. The way that you search this stuff or the way that it's brought to your attention isn't very good. Oh, we have a super chat from Reed Palancia. Thank you very much. I have generally moved from the mainstream. I find more satisfaction with smaller company productions. I do love your channel as well. Well, thank you, Reed Palancia, for that nice compliment. I find myself watching smaller end stuff too, even smaller length videos. Like I watch this channel called MASH. They just talk about fast food. I'll watch like 2 or 3 of those at lunch, and then I'll get back to work on my videos and shit like that. So I don't have time for Netflix's, 17-hour dramas. I just don't have time for that. And they brought up the fact about the stand-up comedy specials. Those are trash. Not even from a political, even if you don't agree politically with these comedian stand-up specials, like I love Louis C.K. His last one was trash. I turned it off. Dave Chappelle, I used to think he was the funniest guy in the world. Didn't like his first 2 comeback specials. There's just something off about him nowadays. They get the weirdest, shittiest stand-up comedians to get specials on Netflix. And it just makes me think less of their service. Netflix was the coolest, craziest thing in the world, and now it's just maybe we're taking it for granted, or maybe because it truly is slipping. We'll see in the next year or two how Netflix fares. I'm not saying Netflix is going to disappear or it's going to be hemorrhaging subscribers, but we've seen the first step of that. They didn't gain as many as they wanted, and they didn't have the and they have so much stuff coming out, it's hard to watch, and a lot of it's a hard pass. They got to put out something really crazy. Either acquire an IP that has never had a film or make a sequel to something big. I'm not saying they got to make a sequel to like a Star Wars movie, but make a sequel to like this is just throwing this out there. This is not what I want, but this is the first movie I saw on my shelf. Imagine if they put The Goonies 2 on Netflix. That would be crazy. I'm not advocating for a second Goonies movie. Don't get mad and anything like that. I'm just saying, imagine if they took that route and then the next Netflix original movie was a Goonies 2, directed by Richard Donner, and you brought back as much of the cast. Well, their cast is all alive, so you brought back the original cast. Now, that would be something crazy that Netflix could pump money into that could get a lot of people interested. Instead of pumping out 82 fucking movies, which so many people aren't going to watch, or 700 original series or procured series, put your money into something crazy and give us movies that we thought we'd never see, put them only on Netflix. Now, that's the type of shit that would get me excited. Let me know if you guys would like stuff like that. Not necessarily Goonies 2, but the idea where Netflix is the home to sequels and shit that you never thought would be a thing. And yes, if Jeremy Johns invited me to go on his channel for either a debate or a conversation, I would join. I've actually thrown out a thing to him, hey, you should come on and talk about your first order video. Obviously, I haven't heard anything back, but hey, I'm not saying he hates us, I'm just saying he hasn't responded back. A Bebe's Kids reboot. I'm there. Video game movies. Maybe. I haven't given up on video game movies yet. I know a lot of people say video game movies can't be done well. I disagree. I think if you had the right video game franchise, like Tomb Raider, let it go, okay? It worked 20 years ago. Well, not 20 years ago, but 17 years ago, Tomb Raider was a thing. It's over. I don't care how much critics verbally sucked off the reboot. It's not the same event that it used to be. Maybe it's a better game now, but it's not as big a deal. Like Power Rangers, it was a big deal in the early 90s. It didn't work today. That's why that movie flopped. That and the bad designs. And you want to talk about toys on a closing Toys R Us, check out the Power Ranger stuff. If your Toys R Us is still around, the Power Ranger stuff from the movie flopped as hard as Star Wars toys. I didn't realize they were making a Legend or a Metal Gear Solid movie. I have to respond. I have to email back to the Midnight's Edge guy and make that happen. Maybe next week. I'll see when he's the earliest he's available. I'm on the channel, and you guys can have a bunch of questions. Ooh, an R-rated Small Soldiers flick. That would be amazing. I loved the concept of the first Small Soldiers, but make it like a horror type of film. Get Tommy Lee Jones back and all those guys. And rest in peace, Phil Hartman. I guess I don't even think, speaking of streaming services, I don't even think of YouTube Red as a streaming service. I think of it as another tier of YouTube that's not worth my time or money. But Cobra Kai, like you said, was great. I'm not going to ever subscribe to YouTube Red. If you guys do, awesome. Thanks. It helps us out the channel big time if you watch our content through YouTube Red. But for me, Nick sent me a copy of Cobra Kai. I don't need to subscribe. We're getting lots of suggestions for video game movies that need to appear on Netflix. I know this goes against the Netflix thing, but I'm still holding out for that Gears of War movie. Big screen, Batista, all kinds of actors. Put Batista and The Rock and Terry Crews and who's your buff white guy for Bayard. Maybe like a Chris Evans or something. That'd be cool. Man, a Gears of War movie with Batista, The Rock, Terry Crews, and Chris Evans. That'd be a fucking stellar cast. And Anya can be back at the base. You just make the first movie. Don't put Anya in the fight. Put her in the third movie when Bayard is, or Dom is dead and all that shit. So you really need to go see Cobra Kai if you have a chance. It was that good. Super chat from Matt Hayes, 2000. Thank you very much, Matt Hayes, 2000. Star Wars films need to jump to the future or the past. Skywalker era is dead. Not having Ahsoka in a movie is dumb. Star Wars TV show is another cash grab. Well, Matt Hayes, 2000, thank you again. I think everything Star Wars nowadays is a cash grab. Not to discredit your point, I actually agree with you. Ahsoka being on TV would be great. I think that Disney had the wrong idea that everyone hated the prequels post Episode 3, so they have distanced themselves from that greatly to a point where they're just like, hey, nothing from the prequels will be referenced or mentioned. And the Clone Wars was a widely loved show. I don't think people would have been upset if Disney would have continued Clone Wars on to this day and just kept going and going at it. I don't watch Rebels. I'm never going to watch Rebels. It could be great. I could be missing out. I could be hurting myself. But from my standpoint, Rebels just isn't worth my time. Ahsoka from the Clone Wars would be a great way to tie everything together. You could have had Ahsoka be Maz Kanata, essentially. That way, Maz Kanata having a lightsaber or this and that would have made sense. You could have had it. She could have talked about how she could have survived at Order 66. There are so many things you could have done with Ahsoka being around. And then Disney could have been like, hey, if you want to learn more about this character, watch Clone Wars. And that's an easy thing for people to consume. You don't have to get into all this new garbage. They were so excited about creating all their own shit that they didn't think about what was there. Now, if they jump to the far future or the far past, one thing about all the Star Wars movies, no matter what timeline they jump to, they all have similar technology, like holograms and light speed and stuff like that. Now, I just guess, personally, I'd like if they just moved to another side of the universe or galaxy. And that way we don't have to see the same characters. But if they go so far into the future, are they in modern day? But I just don't know what they would do. Yes, I do think the Skywalker saga is over and done with, and there should not be any more Luke mentions. Rey is a waste of a character. Everyone involved with the Skywalker saga that is still currently alive in the timeline sucks outside of Chewbacca. Well, Chewbacca didn't eat the pork, so he sucks too. But thank you, Matt Hayes. I appreciate that. The Miz is Bayard. Oh, God. Maybe. And yes, I saw the Aquaman poster. Good morning to everyone that's rolling in. It's the top of the first hour. And real quick, just so you guys don't think that I was bullshitting with the title image or the title of the show, it says that what if episode 9 is split into 2 parts? And so this will be a quick recap of that. If episode 9 is split into 2 parts, I think it's an indicator of many things wrong with the Star Wars universe. Star Wars is in a bad place. Other theaters, other studios have the balls to pump out movies and put them on the same day. And one thing I wanted to mention at the beginning of the show that I forgot to mention was the fact that Disney Star Wars was so forceful with its Last Jedi screening requirements, and I don't think the theaters got what they wanted out of it. I for sure know, well, not insider information, but I'm almost positive that they're not going to be able to pull that kind of stuff. The brand power of Star Wars is not dead, but it is not as powerful as it once was. Therefore, you're not going to get theaters willing to bend over backwards to exhibit your film. A smaller chain could be like, hey, I'll just show Jumanji and Wicked that weekend and make all my money that I'll need. You know, Christmas will close strongly. Believe me, it's happened here. One of our biggest theater chains did not show Star Wars Episode 3. It went to the bargain chain because they didn't have a dispute with Fox. And so you saw Fantastic Four and Star Wars Episode 3 there in the smaller theater. And the big theater is still around, and the small theater, you know, that got the Star Wars movies didn't make it. So theaters can survive without showing the Star Wars films. Tony Alex says Snoke should have been at the end of Solo. First off, thank you and good morning, Tony. That would have been different. It could have tied it in instead of worrying about Darth Maul. I thought the Darth Maul tie-in was dumb because where do we go with that? What is Kira now? Kira's nothing. That's the problem with a lot of these reboots or origin stories. Like the Amazing Spider-Man films, they set up all this shit with Oscorp creating the Vulture and Doc Ock and all these things, and nothing came of it because those movies sucked. They fell apart. There's nothing. So we spent 4 years speculating and saying this and that and build up and all this crap, and then nothing happened because they rebooted it over at Marvel proper. Same thing with Snoke and this Solo movie. All this and that. We're going to have a trilogy. We're going to do 5 of these movies. We're going to do 10 of these movies. You guys barely made it through one. These Solo spin-offs are done. Dead ski. So all the shit we built up, not we, but they built up with Solo and that ending was for naught. It was a waste of time. It makes movies like that feel hollow. That's why movies like Batman 89 and Spider-Man and Superman and certain movies that have sequels, the first one, I know Superman was made as 2 parts. I know that already. But those movies act as one solid movie. And then there's sequels to that. You need a complete whole story. First Star Wars movie, one whole complete story, and then it goes into the sequel. This trying to set up for sequel shit is the same with the Dark Universe. All this crap happens because these places get greedy. Greed is the biggest problem in entertainment because they don't have the creativity to back up the greed. Lucas and Spielberg had greed, but they had good stories to back it up. Like the Indiana Jones movies were all individual stories, but they made a great trilogy that made a fuckload of money. They need to stop with the whole world building and, you know, putting little seeds for next time until they actually have a guaranteed next time. If anything, like Spider-Man 2, it tells that whole story, and then if they never made another one, you'd be okay. But then the second one picks off where the last one left off and builds the world and expands it. You get that couple minutes with Spider-Man, who he is, and then boom, you're right out there, and it's a new story. You already the fans, the audience are dumb. They're not dumb. They can pick up on the story. They can follow the story, and they can see where the character is. You don't need to hold their hand the whole time and retell the first movie in the second movie type of thing. Oh, we have another super chat from Mr. J90. Thank you very much, and cool screen name. I would pay good money to see Jedi/Sith at war during the Old Republic era or even before. I wish we got Mara Jade or even Jason Solo, but that's over with. Yeah, me too. I would have liked to see Mara Jade with Luke, because that's his wife, right? And they have, was it Ben Solo? Because Han and Leia have Jaina and Jason and Anakin, and then Luke has Ben Solo, or Ben Skywalker. So that's their kid. I know these things. I've listened to some of these books on tape, probably more than I tell you guys. I just have forgotten about them. Like whatever the New Jedi Order one was where Chewbacca died, listen to that on tape or CD. I've done quite a few. What is the one about Crimson Empire? About the Royal Guards? I've listened to that. back in 2011, I still had a cassette player in my car. I also had a CD player, but I was on my way to night classes in college, and I would listen to that story. So I've experienced more than I realize. So I do know those characters, but to bring them in later is stupid. Oh, I was the wife of Luke Skywalker. Why the fuck would you not put her in the one with Luke Skywalker? It's like not having Han, Luke, and Leia together in the movie. It was so dumb that they didn't do that shit. They were focused on the next movie, the mystery box, the this, the that, the fucking stupidity that was that is the Disney Star Wars saga. I'm getting on a rant right now. It's too early. I gotta calm down and check my blood sugar. I apologize. I think at the end of the day, the Disney Star Wars trilogy will be known as missed opportunities. They just missed so many opportunities for stupid reasons. They owned it all. They had the power to do whatever they want. They had the money, the resources. It's not like I got the rights to Star Wars and couldn't afford Harrison Ford to do this or that. No, it was Disney. They had an infinite amount of money to do whatever they needed to do to make this movie a hit. And it made money, but it wasn't a hit that they needed long term. So thank you, Mr. J. Lord of Sorman, thank you for your super chat. Modern movies feel like filler leads to more filler. Yeah, 100%. Do you need to see half of these movies out there in the theater? No. Especially ones in ongoing sagas. DC, Man of Steel, I guess you have to see because it's the beginning. But like Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, you could watch Justice League and not have seen Wonder Woman because she appeared in the modern world in Batman versus Superman. So there you go. Yeah, the Amazons showed up in Wonder Woman, but you could have got the same thing. So many of these big movies just feel like filler to sell more crap. Movies feel too much more like products now. I guess I feel this way because I've been watching a lot of older stuff and I was getting complete experiences. Like when I sat down to rewatch American Psycho, I really, really, really enjoyed it more than I have in the past. Smaller stuff feels more fulfilling. Now, tomorrow night, we're going to watch The Dark Knight at 9 p.m. with our patron as a live hangout exclusive, so I hope you guys are here for that one. Now, that movie has some substance. Do I think it's perfect? No. I think it's the best Batman movie. No, I do not. But I do miss when a movie, a big tentpole franchise blockbuster superhero flick, felt like more than just a commercial for the next team up. Marvel has been great for what it did for its own brand, but it's hurt a lot of other ones because people are constantly playing catch up. And when they're constantly playing catch up, they miss the small things that make their films truly great and a lot of fun. Now, if they do extend Star Wars into 2 points, or Episode 9 into 2 movies, it's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of laughing. And if they do go that route, I think it'll be announced, not at Comic-Con, but at Celebration next year when all eyes are on Star Wars and they have the entire attention of the internet. Star Wars will be kind of quiet at Comic-Con. You'll see some new Hot Toys dolls released, or at least previewed. You'll see the next wave of Hasbro figures, which are going to be mostly repacks. You're going to see some Gentle Giant busts and other crap from Gentle Giant, those big figures, shit like that. You'll get that, but you won't get too much movie news. And when they do announce it at Celebration, hopefully we're in the panel to laugh at them, because that's what they deserve. Our laughter. They don't even deserve our pity. But if this whole Reylo thing is true, where she's pregnant with Kylo Ren's child, I want to say that I'll get pissed and walk out of the theater, but I can't. But I will be that guy in the theater because what the fuck? I will audibly make my displeasure known, and all the bullshitters are getting together for that one. Nick's going to come from out of town to watch it with us. And we're going to laugh, and we're going to chastise the movie. We're going to laugh at its expense. I think it's a terrible idea. When you listen, it's funny though. They'll listen to the fans that want the dumbest shit in these movies, but they won't listen to the fans that are like, "Hey, could you guys, follow the logical character development, like what we've seen in previous films. No, those people can go fuck themselves. They're the old past. We need to let the past die. But hey, because people on Tumblr are like, oh my God, Raylo's so hot, they'll make that kind of shit happen. That's the kind of shit they'll make happen. But those people on Tumblr aren't going to go out and buy the crap or see the movie in theaters. They'll go, oh, I'll check it out. I'll pirate it. I'll do this. I'll do that. It's a weird cycle that they're fucking up. Logan Michael, thank you for your super chat. Best Marvel movie. Well, MCU Marvel movie, I'll give it to Winter Soldier or Civil War. I can't determine. Overall, Spider-Man 2. Love that movie to this day. I could watch Spider-Man 2 all the time. And hell, even if I threw Spider-Man 1 in there, it would still rank above all but maybe 2 or 3 MCU flicks. So I've been a fan since it came out. And yes, tomorrow night is the Dark Knight watch party. So be sure to be here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll give you guys a little bit of lobby time so you don't miss out if you can't make it here at 9 on the dot. But we'll give you guys periodic updates to when we're going to be, where we are in terms of timestamps. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our patron special day. He's got a video that's going to come out I got to work on tonight and tomorrow morning. And then he's going to get that Dark Knight commentary watch party. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow's the 10th anniversary of it. We'll talk about the impact it's had on the world and why some of the impact the Dark Knight had was negative. So this one comes from Nathan. By the way, thanks to all the people this morning. We're seeing a lot of new super chat names, so thank you. You need to listen to the Legacy of the Force and the Fate of the Jedi series with the OT characters and their kids. Let me write that down. Let me just take a screenshot of that because that way it's easier and faster for all the listeners out there. I'll check those out. If they're on audio, I have to do all kinds of channel work because I'm launching the website and I need to do all the design stuff. So why not listen to some Star Wars shit? It'll be fun. We can talk about it here on the channel. We can review it at a later date. That'd be a nice little way to kill some time. I'm not going to review books, but audiobooks we'll talk about. I think the last one I did was the one where Palpatine, Dark Empire, where Palpatine had cloned himself and Luke turned to the dark side or something and fought Palpatine's clone. I did listen to that one last year, and it was pretty good. Oh, the shitty phone won't take pictures. God damn it. Reed Palancha, thank you for your generous super chat. There is often so much potential at the beginning until you start to mold the story. Now there is so much malaise in its creation. Think of handmade versus mass production. I think that's a good comparison. For me, it's a lot of they're trying to do too much at the too much. Sometimes simplicity is better. Simplicity helps expedite the storytelling process and leaves some stuff up to the listener or the viewer or the reader's imagination. When everything is planned out from the beginning, it sometimes does not work. I remember jumping back to Spider-Man. When the first Spider-Man came out, they talked about Eddie's been on it for weeks. Well, they don't go on about Eddie Brock and this and that. They just say Eddie's been at it for weeks, and you hear that little line of dialogue, or you hear about Dr. Connors fired me, and it builds the world without actually showing the characters and doing these things. Now, at later dates, they've ruined it with Eddie Brock, but they at least attempted to do it right. Handmade versus mass production. I think there's a nice blend of that, though, you could find in a movie. For example, let's talk about the ideal movie, Reed, is a Hot Toys doll. Now, a Hot Toys doll is widely produced across the world, but they take the time. So they may mass produce them, but the faces are hand painted or whatever, and they have high quality sculpts and this, that, and the other. I think that's the perfect blend in today's world of, how do I want to put this, entertainment, in today's big property franchises. You can't get that small attention to detail every time, but what you can get is a bunch of really talented people who put in as much attention as they can, and therefore you get a really great final product. I know this is a weird example if you guys haven't been able to check it out, but there's a Hot Toys Indiana Jones doll, and then there's a Mattel Indiana Jones doll. And while the Mattel one is not complete and utter shit, it doesn't have the same leather coat or the same hat or accessories or quality of paint that the Hot Toys one does. So you may be able to find that widely released Mattel one in all your local stores, and the Hot Toys ones are harder to acquire. but you get a better product in the end. With movies, you're not going to get limited releases and stuff like that, but you could get a better movie that has fewer screenings because it's longer and takes more time. So I like the idea of more care put into stuff. I'm glad you're looking forward to our review of episode 9 as well. I can't wait to watch that dumpster fire burn. Trencher 1375, thank you for your super chat. Disney want the Twilight cash. That's weird to think that Twilight was such a viable property at one point. I think they took over Hall H at Comic-Con one year. Was it 2008 or 9? There was a point in time where Twilight was the biggest thing, but like Twilight disappeared. Now, will Disney Star Wars disappear? I don't know. Twilight always had that stigma of it's a chick's franchise, it's a chick flick, it's this, that, and the other. It's bad, it's stupid, it's fan fiction. Star Wars was this once great thing, and I think a lot of people just refuse to let it go. They could let it go. Like, emotionally, they know that it's not as good as it once was. They're not delusional. They just refuse to let it get bad. Like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. You know, I see the conflict in you, and Vader's like, there is no conflict. But Luke stuck with him till the end, and he turned him at the very last minute. I think the Star Wars fans are Luke Skywalker, and the Star Wars franchise is currently like Darth Vader. There's some good in it if he can be turned. And Darth Vader has the approach: he will join us or die. You know, Kathleen Kennedy and her cronies over at Lucasfilm, you will fall in line or you will fall out of favor with Star Wars, and that's what they're hoping. But we're just pushing on for that revival. Thank you, Net Cyber. Nathan, another super chat. Thank you very much, Nathan. Legacy of the Force was written in the early 2000s, and the last Fate of the Jedi book was released in 2012. I will steal these Star Wars stories all day. Did you mean to say I will shill these Star Wars all day? I will check those out. My phone did work, so I can check those out. A lot of times they're on YouTube. If you guys ever find Star Wars audiobooks on YouTube, make sure you shoot them my way, because that'd be a quick way for me to at least begin to listen to them. And if they're the ones that are the audio dramas where they have different actors do the voices and sound effects and all that stuff, those ones will hook me, because it feels like I'm watching, or at least like in my head, I'm watching a Star Wars story play out. That Dark Empire one that I listened to recently, and recently I mean within the last like 18 months, that had Billy D. Williams come back as Lando. That had all kinds of stuff. So that was pretty exciting to listen to. It was a lot of fun. So those are always great for me. Yeah, Hot Toys are expensive, but they're worth it. Twilight, more like toilet. Twilight, hey, you know what? It made a bunch of money. Doesn't mean it was good. We can use that example for The Last Jedi. It made a bunch of money. Doesn't mean it was good. From now on, I'm going to use that argument with Jeremy. If he goes, yeah, but The Force Awakens made $2 billion. Yeah, but Twilight was a huge hit. Was it good? No. No. Nathan, thank you for your super chat again. You can find all 18 of the books from both series on any audiobook site. You could kill a lot of time covering them and also demonstrate the difference between the good EU and the Disney shit today. I do have 2 Audible credits from the listeners. So I downloaded the one Star Wars book from Rugis, and I'm guilty of not even... It's on my phone. I'm guilty of not listening to it. I'm kind of addicted to this podcast, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. But I guess I could use this as work, because the channel, you guys will eat up all the Star Wars content, and I do believe in giving you guys what you want. I don't want to talk about knitting or cooking or something dumb, so I guess I should make that a priority to do maybe a monthly hangout where I review or talk about a new Star Wars EU book. Maybe we'll start off with the Star Wars EU panel. Like, if there's enough interest, we can do anything on this channel. But let's start off with the Star Wars EU panel. Nathan, you seem like you're pretty good in terms of your knowledge of the Star Wars EU. Why don't you email us, worldclassbs@mail.com. Anyone who's emailed me will be either considered or on the thing. All I got to do is have your guys' information there, and we'll work out a time through there. So Nathan, if you want to shoot us an email to me personally and say, Star Wars EU panel, or anyone that's listening wants to shoot that to me, I will come up with a group of maybe 5 to 10. Well, I can't do 10 because it's too many. Like 5 to 7 people, because I'll take myself out because I'll be the proctor, the one that wants to learn. But we'll do that, and then I'll start checking out the books on audio, and maybe I'll do once a month. I'll listen to one, and we'll do a live discussion about it. Press F if you guys like that idea. But thank you again, Nathan. Megatron 0541. Disney could have made at least 6 great movies if they went with the Knights of the Old Republic. I keep hearing that, and that would be cool. You could start out with Rogue One to get the nostalgia, and then you jump back and do something completely different. But no, that's not what we get. The Riverkiss 2790 says, just go get an invite to a private torrent audiobook site. You'll find them all there. You'll find all of them on them. All right. Well, I'll see what happens. But as of now, I have Audible credits, which I'll use legally, and check out some of the higher recommended ones. Okay, lots of Fs. Okay, folks. So we covered the top of the hour with Star Wars. Let's take a Star Wars respite because we'll cover it one more time for those who are cycling in and out. So for a couple minutes, we'll play that Let's Ask Jeff Anything because we're going to go into the final 30 minutes of the show where it's Ask Jeff Anything, which is always fun. But I saw a good one from our friend Pete. Do I think Willem Dafoe would make a great Joker? I think Willem Dafoe could have made a great Joker pre-Heath Ledger. And I'm not saying that Heath Ledger was so great that no one could follow him up. What I'm saying is, and I'll say this again tomorrow on our 10th anniversary of The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight did as much bad as it did good for superhero movies. Now hear me out. The Dark Knight had great performances, a well-made story, it was well-paced, all that stuff. But the negative effect of The Dark Knight was that all the studios tried to copy. Like, The Dark Knight was very much like the MCU of its time, even though the MCU technically existed. My point is, everyone wanted to be like The Dark Knight, so everything was a dark and gritty reboot of this, that, and the other. It was, oh, let's get a dark and gritty version of this. Let's get a dark and gritty version of that. And now we live in a world where everyone's trying to still be Heath Ledger's Joker. Jared Leto's Joker is trying to be a more extreme, weird version. Listen to his voice. He's trying to talk like the Heath Ledger Joker. I don't think a Willem Dafoe Joker would work in modern-day settings. People will accept Mark Hamill, or they'll accept something close to Heath Ledger, and Willem Dafoe's too late. Let's see. Trenchard 1375 says, women don't torrent, better customers. Masters of the Universe movie sucked from 1987. You know what, folks? Press F if you want me to just do an Ask Me Anything segment for the rest of the show. Let's have some fun. We've been on the air for an hour and a half. Why not give you guys a fun start to your, well, it isn't your start to your work week. It's Tuesday. It's my Monday, technically. But let's start. So if you guys want me to start talking about anything, just press F and we'll get into that segment. And then you start asking me questions. All right. Wow. Lots of Fs. A deluge of Fs. Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor. I thought that would have been awesome. That's the one Lex Luthor that's the one actor I thought should have played Lex Luthor. Instead, we got Jesse Eisenberg. Come on, man. Jesse Eisenberg? That guy's a fucking dweeb. Zombieland was his only good film. I like the Fast and the Furious movies. Yeah, I like them all. I don't think they're all great. I really liked the first one from what I remember. I snuck in to see it in theaters because I paid for Tomb Raider. I hated it, and I walked out and saw Fast and Furious. 2's okay. 3's not that bad. I like 4. I really like 5 and 6. 7. And 8 was all right too. Yeah, there isn't a Fast and Furious movie that I would consider horrid that I won't watch. There are terrible Friday the 13th films. There are terrible. I'm trying to think of another series that has unwatchable films in the franchise for me. Star Wars movies, but overall, Fast and Furious is pretty solid. I think it's too late for Mark Hamill to play the Joker in live action. It's just not going to happen. I think Mark Hamill, his career has kind of been finished. Not that I'm saying his career's been ruined, but he's older. Him and his wife, he's been married to the same woman the whole time. I think they're just going to he'll do his stage acting and his shit like that, but you're not going to see Mark Hamill on the big platform ever again, which is sad because his swan song essentially was The Last Jedi, which was complete garbage. Logan Michael 69, thank you for your super chat. Best look of Jason Voorhees. Probably number 7. Is that where he fights the psychic chick with Kane Hodder's playing the role? I think that's a good look for Jason. Fat Jason in part 6 is okay. He's kind of funny when he's got the utility belt and the gloves on. But it's weird how much he changes from movie to movie. But Logan Michael, I have a question for you. Which Jason look is your favorite action figure that you own? Do I like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, or Princess Mononoke? I've never seen those. I've only seen the Ghost in the Shell live action, which, sorry. Princess Mononoke, isn't that Miyazaki? I don't usually watch the Miyazaki flicks. I kind of like the gory, dark anime. Or if it's not gory and dark, like I really like Cowboy Bebop. I think that's a cool show. So I don't watch more of the whimsical shit. Favorite Royal Rumble? 2000, The Rock won, hands down. Biased answer. But it also had that awesome street fight. The 02 Royal Rumble was a pretty good show, and so was the 01 Royal Rumble. But I'm going to go 2000 because The Rock won. Favorite Joker quote? Never rub another man's rhubarb. Or I'm of a mind to make some Mookie. That's my favorite one. Best Rob Zombie movie? Airheads, because he's in that movie. No, all seriousness, probably... I don't like House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects. I'll just go with Rob Zombie's Halloween. It sucks, but I can tolerate it. Logan Michael, thank you for your super chat. Mine is the NECA Ultimate Part 4 Jason. I recently saw that in FYE. That's a cool Jason. And NECA's been kicking ass with those Jason figures. If only we can get a company that do that many Michael Myers figures with that much accuracy, you know, I'm buying that shit. Did I like the live action Ghost in the Shell? I didn't hate it. I wasn't bored by it. I like Scarlett Johansson for many reasons. Kind of had a crush on her when I was a kid, so maybe that's part of why I like Scarlett Johansson's movies. I did watch The Nanny Diaries one time because of her, but that was a dumb movie. But it was just okay. Alpha Terranema. Thoughts on the Savage Land line of X-Men toys? Saw the Storm one at a flea market on Sunday for $15. If that's the new Storm that comes with the Sauron piece, if that's the right line, I'd have picked it up for $15. Right now, I hate to like kiss Hasbro's ass for as much as they fucked up Star Wars. But man, there are so many Marvel Legends figures coming out right now that are hard to find that I desperately want. Like I had to pre-order Wolverine because I knew I wasn't going to find it. I wanted to get the entire wave to get Apocalypse and all the characters. I want Sabretooth. I want Psylocke. X-Men figures right now are cool. If you guys give a shit about X-Men figures, now is the best time to get involved with them. Matt Hayes 2000. Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor in a power suit made from Zod's leftover Kryptonian armor. It was right there on the ground. Fuck BVS. Yes, fuck BVS is right. We tried to watch that at Phil's not too long ago, and I requested firmly that he change the damn channel. I couldn't stand it. American Trent 007. Will we get another Hulk film? I'm loving Bond. I'm glad you're liking those, Trent. I almost want to do a special stream just for you called Discovering 007, where we talk about your first experiences with 007 films, at least the old ones. Trent, let me know if that's something you'd like to do. We can work something out in the near future. But to answer your question, I don't think we'll ever get another Hulk film. I think Hulk wasn't a success for them with the Incredible Hulk in 2008, and the Ang Lee one just sucked in 2003. But I think Hulk works best as a side character or a sidekick character, and you'll get him in ongoing Avengers flicks because you can always just CGI another actor if Mark Ruffalo's done, and that'll be it. You'll get him like teaming up with actor or characters like you did in Thor Ragnarok. But I don't think you'll see another solo Incredible Hulk 2 movie or Savage Hulk or whatever they would call it. Tippy Tail McKitty, thank you for your super chat. Favorite Jackie Chan movie? Oh God, there's a lot of great ones. I'm gonna go by some of the American names, so I apologize if I don't know whatever. But I like Super Cop pretty much. I think Rumble in the Bronx is my favorite one because it was the first one I saw, and I've seen it so many times. And I'm discounting something like a Rush Hour because I really do like Rush Hour, but I don't consider that like a true Jackie Chan flick. That's an American Jackie Chan flick, like it's more of a Brett Ratner, Chris Tucker type of thing. Like it's a joint picture. Jackie Chan's got to be the lead star. And I liked Operation Condor as well as Rumble in the Bronx, Super Cop. We watched all of them in the 90s. We were big martial arts fans in my household. Started out early with Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, maybe Sammo Hung. I used to watch that stupid show he was on all the time. Him and Arsenio Hall, Martial Law. I watched that every week. I think it was on before Walker, Texas Ranger. And I watched Walker, Texas Ranger. Shit, I've watched Walker, Texas Ranger recently. My grandma was in the hospital. What did we watch? Walker, Texas Ranger. I have not seen the Rodan design for the new Godzilla movie. I want to, though. Commander Cody, welcome back. Yeah, Coneheads watch party is possible. I love Coneheads. Maybe we could do an SNL week or something like that. My ideal ultimate crossover for any character. That's a good question. I'm going to give you a basic one to start off with. I wouldn't mind seeing James Bond interact with Ethan Hunt. Maybe bring some fun back to 007. We need that desperately. Oh, Ash versus Evil. Ash Williams from Evil Dead. I'd like to see him interact with Jason Voorhees. I think that'd be an awesome kick-ass movie. He's out in the cabin one last time. Maybe he's got a family. Maybe he's a camp counselor. He got fired from S-Mart or wherever he was working in Ash versus Evil Dead, and this is his last gig, and he can't afford to get fired because he owes the government money or some shit like that. And Jason Voorhees comes back to kill all the kids, and he's got to protect them so he doesn't get fired. So I'm going to use that as my ultimate crossover. What are my thoughts on Valkyrie being played by a brown woman? I feel she was terrible. The only reason I wasn't mad that they race swapped Valkyrie is because they showed the real Valkyrie in the movie, so this is just another Valkyrie. So I don't like race swapping or gender swapping in movies, but the fact that they showed was it Broomhilda or whatever their fucking name is, the blonde one from the comics back in the day, the fact that she was in the film and died was awesome. Anthony Mata, thank you for your super chat. Bond versus Bourne, my money on Bond because he took on Megalomaniac, Spectre, and a drug cartel. Bourne only took down CIA super soldiers. Yeah, James Bond would beat Jason Bourne. I know people like to say, oh, James Bond's weak. No, James Bond got into some serious fights and got his ass kicked and still came out victorious. Plus, he is he's better equipped for the field. Jason Bourne's always on the run. James Bond, with the exception of License to Kill, does have the backing of the British Secret Service. So he has more resources at hand. I'll go with the 2008 Clone Wars over the 2003, even though I like both. Megatron 054, Got to Save Your Girl. Bond, Hunt, Bourne, or Wick? I think John Wick is a more efficient killing machine. I think he'd save your girl. Bourne wouldn't, because his wife's dead and he doesn't give a shit about you. Ethan Hunt would probably save your girlfriend too, but he would probably in the process try it. Well, James Bond would fuck your girlfriend, so you really wouldn't want him to save your girl. And Ethan Hunt would probably like become her surrogate father or some dumb shit like that, because that's how Tom Cruise is in all these movies. So I'll put my money on John Wick because he's not over the death of his wife, so he won't try to take her from you. Rocket Insano, thank you very much for your super chat. What would you think about a Dunkirk-style movie, but for the Battle of Hoth? The battle scene was the best part of Rogue One. A Star Wars Dunkirk movie. I could do a gritty Star Wars battle film. Now, that would be actually really, really interesting to go back to a Battle of Hoth. I mean, you'd get the online critics, I would say, we need to move past the Skywalker saga, this, that, and the other. But that is something new and different. Like, Luke's over here doing his thing. And then the rest of the movie is about what we don't see in Empire Strikes Back. I could get behind that. I could really, really get behind that. It's not a bad idea at all. Yeah, the battle from Rogue One, Battle of Crate, or was it Battle of Scarif, excuse me. Scarif was the best part of that entire film. Like, from the moment they get there to the end of the flick is solid. There are some boring parts in Rogue One. Overall, I still consider it a fine movie, but nothing like the other ones in terms of shittiness. So yeah, it would have to be grim though. Yeah, you're not going to see blood and guts flying around, but don't pull any punches. Like, make sure the impacts are hard hitting and no Rose Tico's suicide saves at the last moment. Mr. J90, thoughts on Ip Man films / Donnie Yen in general? I've never seen an Ip Man film, but I like Donnie Yen. I think my only exposure, sadly, to Donnie Yen is Rogue One, and I like him. I want to see more Donnie Yen stuff. Now, I guess part of me wants to see more of that character Chirrut, but I'm willing to watch more Donnie Yen stuff. I was very impressed with what was on screen. Yes, Evil Dead 2 was great fun. Evil Dead 2 is incredible. Ooh, Ian Fleming's James Bond or movie James Bond? Well, I like movie James Bond. They're very similar, yeah, they're very different. Either way, you still get James Bond. I think if I have to choose the movie world, if you choose movie James Bond, you get all the shit that goes with it. The theme, the Aston Martins, this, that, and the other. I'll just go movie. And yeah, there are some movies I dislike, but I'll take that. American Trent 421, thank you for your super chat. Or sorry, American Trent 007. I remember your old name. I remember before you got certified to License to Kill. So there you go. I remember you guys. American Trent 007 says, I'm in for Bond talk. Best Bond figure / merchandise. I still love my old Sideshow collectible Sean Connery from Dr. No. He sits on my shelf as the elastic in his bow tie dies out. I like that quite a bit. I'm a big fan of the 1/18 scale Aston Martin I have. I'll go with GoldenEye the video game. It's my favorite piece of James Bond merchandise. I love that movie. I love that game so much. It kicks a shitload of ass, which makes no sense. A shitload of ass. Oh my god. Do I still do martial arts? Oh god, no. Not in 20 years. My favorite Bond, Connery / Brosnan tied. Zombie apocalypse or alien invasion? Which would I rather live through? Alien invasion. Not to sound preachy, but an alien invasion would bring people together and the world would be stronger afterwards if we survived. Because we'd realize, oh, there's an intergalactic threat we have to face. We can't worry about petty shit here on Earth. So that's why I picked that. Zombie apocalypse, there would be no apocalypse. Zombies would get wiped out quick. With the way technology works and stuff, you'd call in the National Guard and wipe out the infected. I feel like you could survive a zombie apocalypse quite easily, unlike an alien invasion. Rocket Insano, thank you for your super chat. I always wanted to see what happened to the dude firing the ion cannon. He basically was the hero of Hoth. Stand by Ion Control. Fire. Is that the name of the movie? Stand by Ion Control, a Star Wars story? I'd watch that. That is like the best part of that battle for the rebels in terms of success. The first transport is away. I want that movie. The first transport is away, a Star Wars story, and Mark Hamill reprises his role as the narrator for that. But yeah, Rocket Insano, you could do that, or if you had to, a comic book would work. You could do something with the guy, the hero of Heroes of Hoth. Even though Hoth was a loss, it was a victory for his military career. Does Walther PPK count as Bond merchandise? No, because it existed before Bond. Maybe, I don't know. I want one. That'd be so cool to have. Dak, a Star Wars story. Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds was all right. Wasn't the best thing I've seen, but I do like those types of movies. The world is in danger type of thing, like 2012. I hated 2012, but I like that type of movie. The big disaster flicks, Independence Day, War of the World, stuff like that, where people are on the run. I like those types of movies. My thoughts on the Friday the 13th James Bond intro parody. It's funny. Part 6 is a pretty solid Friday the 13th flick. Could be my favorite one. Because it is pretty balls to the wall crazy, especially when like they're on that RV and he stabs the guy in the head and the thing just flips over and then he gets out. And I think it's playing the Alice Cooper song. There are some cool moments to that. Some cool moments to that at all. Or very much. The Day After Tomorrow was preachy. I just like the tone. I saw that movie in what, 2004? Is that the one where Jake Gyllenhaal fights the Blizzard? If they put post-credit sequence into Star Wars, all is lost. All is lost. I'm not looking forward to that idea at all. I think that's pretty stupid. Our first catch of the day, a Star Wars story. Oh man, that's awesome. That guy is the real MVP. Actually, that guy is in one of the Star Wars. I think he's an X-wing. That character, I don't know his name, but that scene is redigitized for the X-wings game on PC. Kathleen Kennedy is not gone yet. When she is, we will be here to report it as factual news. As of now, it's just conjecture and a lie, or wishful thinking, if you will, even if you don't want to take it that far to be a lie, because I don't want to accuse other people of putting shit out there as liars, just misinformed people, because there are a lot of articles that lie and say that it's the truth, and it's not. When I see something more reputable, and when we have those hit pieces from the woke mafia, aka the media, because, oh, you fans are so bad, you had a woman in power get embarrassed and pushed out because blah, blah, blah. Look, Star Wars is ruined because of this chick. It ain't because she's a woman. It could have been J.J. Abrams that did it, and I have the same fucking opinions. The Grand Inquisitor, thank you for your super chat. Your favorite Bond movie for each respective actor. Connery gets From Russia with Love. Lazenby gets the only one he was in, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Roger Moore gets Live and Let Die. Timothy Dalton gets The Living Daylights. Pierce Brosnan gets Goldeneye, hands down. And Daniel Craig gets, God, it's either Skyfall or Spectre. I like those both a lot. I'll go Skyfall. There are moments of Skyfall I dislike, but overall it's a pretty solid flick. It's good. It's very good. And Spectre has some really great moments too. I'll go Skyfall. It's the part in Hong Kong where he fights the guy in the building with the cool, like, Skyfall has some really great visuals. That's why when that Denis Villeneuve guy from Blade Runner 2049 drew me to direct the next Bond flick, I was behind it because I saw the trailer for Blade Runner and I thought those kind of visuals with a big bombastic James Bond score would be so fun. The Rivikis 2790, thank you for your super chat. The reason a Star Wars story failed is because Star Wars was in smaller font than, say, Solo. I bet most people never saw the word Star Wars in the poster. the Star Wars part. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because solo is just a basic word. Like, oh man, they're making a movie on red cups. I love beer pong. That could be a big determining factor. Rogue One, though, was a success. And Han Solo is more well known than the Rogue Squadron or the Rogue and Star Wars type of thing. But I don't think that helped in terms of marketing. There's probably some statistical data over at Disney to back that theory up. So you're not wrong about that. I'm just glad they had their first failure. Like if there was a Star Wars crawl about, the fans against Disney, it would say about how Disney suffered their first defeat at the Battle of Solo, a Star Wars story. And we would all have a good laugh. By the way, folks, I love a Keurig. I drink way more coffee now than I should. The crazy part is by the time it hits me, the show's over and I'm amped up for the rest of the day. So maybe I'll go a little longer and I'll be amped up on caffeine and we can talk about some weird shit. Doug Harmon, Ip Man with Donnie Yen is a must-see. Well, Doug, just because you requested I have to see it, I will watch it. All joking aside, that is something I do want to see. I like martial arts films a lot. Dion got me to watch The Raid, Redemption. I haven't really watched a lot of the more modern ones, but I'm open to it. For as much as I shit on certain types of movies, I'm really open to watch all kinds of crazy new stuff. It doesn't have to be Beverly Hills Cop to keep my attention. I don't know if the Super Chats are Disney changing the subject as far as Star Wars as possible. If that's the case, I'll just keep talking about Star Wars. That'd be crazy if Disney was so worried about my voice that they send me money to distract me. That'd be insane. And then there's an email leak that says that's true. Oh, man. I'd laugh my ass off. No, I think the Star Wars drama isn't really slowing down as much as it's shifting gears to get worse. Like, when you shift your gear, there's that moment where you hit the clutch and you're in between gears and then you ramp it up to, the fourth gear. I think that's where we are in the transition. Like the clutch is down, they're getting ready to go into the next gear and it's going to get even worse. So Rod, I don't know if that's the case, but that's a great conspiracy to throw out there. Rocket Insano. I love that name. I keep thinking of Captain Insano. Random exploding welder guy, a Casino Royale story. Yeah. Oh my God. If you don't get that reference, I'm sorry for laughing in your ears, but that's a good joke. That poor guy. See, now that's a problem. One of my problems with Casino Royale, not that guy in particular, but I didn't enjoy the parkour James Bond. I didn't like James Bond driving a Ford. I don't even like seeing how James Bond became James Bond. He's an enigma. He just is always there. Like Solo, you shouldn't know how these great male characters became who they are. They just were. It's not those types of Han Solo and James Bond aren't necessarily these really deep characters. They just do cool things and they appeal to a certain part of your needs. Like, I need a character to do this. I need a character for that. Luke Skywalker is your focal point. You need to see where he comes from, where he goes, that kind of thing. Han Solo should just remain that constant. James Bond should remain that constant. Oh, Abomino, you missed a hell of a show, but don't worry, we're not closing out. We might go a little longer this morning. If people press F, I'll go longer today. Ip Man is Bruce Lee's Wing Chun instructor from Matt Hayes 2000. I did not know that. Or maybe Wing Chun. Everybody have fun tonight? I do want to watch that now. If it's on Netflix, I'll watch it this week. If not, I'll find a way. I'll rent a copy and watch it. Give Donnie Yen the 1 penny or whatever he would get for me renting the movie. I've always supported. I've always liked martial arts flicks. I love like when you would watch those movies and you get to the final fight and the boss. It's like the old video games, You get through these beat 'em ups and then you get to that final boss fight and it's crazy. And then the hero walks off into the sunset. Like, I think my favorite Bruce Lee flick is the one. What is that? Where he fights Chuck Norris, Return of the Dragon. That's my favorite Bruce Lee movie. I love that. Midnight Cherry TV says, I've spent $10 for you to see True Romance. You have, and I will watch that. You know what? You can't hear it, but I just clicked my pencil. I'm gonna watch it. Now, would you rather me do a stream party for True Romance or Mystery Men Midnight Cherry TV? But thank you for your super chat. I'll watch the movie. I have no excuse now. I'll just rent a copy. I have watched the Raid movies, and no, I have not seen Heredity yet. Ooh, Castor Troy's here. I love Face Off. Nathan, thank you for your super chat. There's a Bruce Lee TV show on Netflix. I was not aware of that. I'll check it out. I'll at least add it to my instant queue. That way I don't forget about it when I watch a rerun of Good Eats or some shit, whatever's on Netflix. Mr. J90, thank you for your super chat. Ip Man restored my faith in martial arts films with Donnie Yen as the lead. I would place it up there with many Jackie Chan films. It is on Netflix. Oh, okay. Well, now I do have to watch it. I'll tell Dion that I have to watch it too, and he'll be like, "Oh man, it's so great!" Blah 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 blah. Dion really gets into him. Him and Hillary both like martial arts flicks, but Dion swears by the Raid 2. I liked the Raid 1 more than what I saw from the Raid 2. And then there's that other Tony Jaa movie, the Forcer, the something. Dion swears by that one as well. I haven't seen that. Canadian catfish to Dr. No Story. Man, that is an obscure joke like two people get, Trent and I. Nick Cage, yeah, he used to make good movies. I have to choose between Fast and Furious or Star Wars. Which do I pick? I'm going to go with Star Wars because Star Wars has the first movie and Empire Strikes Back. And you have the trilogy. I like the Star Wars trilogy more than I like almost anything else. You're very hard-pressed to find a movie that I'm going to pick over the Star Wars trilogy. There's the select few films, like the Back to the Futures, and I would rather watch Beverly Hills Cop and Die Hard over Empire. Yeah, blasphemy, I know. 20 people just stopped watching the stream, but hey, what's new? It's early, and I'm not talking about Rian Johnson's round head. Nathan, thank you for your super chat. The Legend of Bruce Lee. Ong Bak is good too. The Thai Warrior, I think I've seen that one. I'm pretty sure I've seen Ong Bak. Lando's Baby, a Star Wars movie. What if Luke turned Kylo and they created a new Jedi Order? Not saying no, but it's so hard to care about Kylo Ren. Like, imagine being a kid in 1983 watching the scene where Vader looks at the Emperor and he looks at Luke and he looks at the Emperor and he looks at Luke and he looks at the Emperor and he picks up the Emperor and he throws him. You're like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. Darth Vader has been redeemed and all this shit. Kylo Ren getting redeemed means nothing to the story. He killed Snoke. He's now in charge. Oh, God. Part of me can't wait to see what dumpster fire they come up with so I can rip it apart. But part of me is like, how are they going to pull this off? J.J. Abrams has a thankless task. One, because he's a thankless hack. Two, because Disney has allowed them to break up this trilogy between two directors. Oh, that's a fucked up joke. What do Vin Diesel and Paul Walker have in common? Their last big hits were with trees. God damn it. God damn it. Kylo Ren needs to die. So does Rey. All the characters need to go. Let's have Poe Dameron save the day when he blows up the 12th Death Star. It's like as big as a sun, and it sucks up entire galaxies and shoots out dark matter, and Captain Kirk tries to slingshot around it, but only is destroyed. What if Kylo Ren gets a gender assignment and starts a Rey? Hold on, tribute band. I'd watch that. John Lance now wasn't too soon. That was a damn good joke, actually. Rocket Insano, thank you for your super chat. I'm invincible! A GoldenEye story. So is it basically how they thaw out Boris and how he comes to terms with being half man, half popsicle? I love Boris so much. I used to kill Boris off in the video game and then fail the mission and restart it because nostalgia. Natalia would tell you that wasn't a nice thing to do, and then she would hide out and the mission would be failed. Zaire says, no! Well, okay, I don't know what you're saying no to. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings or your sensibilities. The Jizz Band, the Star Wars story, a band on the run. We got a lot of good people watching this morning. You guys are coming up with some funny shit. Thank you for making my morning enjoyable. Oh, response to the title. Okay. Do I still do karate? Oh, God, no. I took Taekwondo from like 95 to 97 or 8, and then just got out of it. It's 21 years ago. I do have 2 big trophies down the road when we go on camera, when the channel grows a little bigger and I'm in a better surroundings. I will show all of that crazy stuff on camera, including my Taekwondo first place trophies for fighting. Dab for us. God. Jeff, don't dab. Morning to you, Darius Newbie. Boris and Super Smash Brothers. You know, Super Smash Brothers candidate James Bond was originally planned to be in Super Smash Brothers, the first one. They thought Pierce Brosnan's James Bond would be a good fighter choice, which would be crazy. Could you imagine if it was so popular that Nintendo kept redoing Pierce Brosnan James Bond in all the Smash Brothers games, and they didn't focus on Daniel Craig? So there's this weird offshoot where every time you play a Smash Brothers game, it's still Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. I'd love that. I stopped doing martial arts because I just didn't like them anymore. Plus, I was into playing baseball and other stuff in school. And how old was I? I was 8. Back to the Future score, Star Wars score all day, every day. Back to the Future score is very good, but Star Wars is the best. I was tall and had the reach. That's true. You're in Los Angeles, so you missed the first 90 minutes, but you're able to rewind to the beginning. Well, you know, stick around for till the end. We still probably got about 40 minutes, almost an hour left. So I have seen the Anna Nicole Smith Skyscraper film. Not good. Hello back to the Netherlands. Quid pro quo, Clarice. Anytime I see quid pro quo, I think of The Hangover. Quid pro quo, douchebag. Gotta keep streaming till the caffeine wears off, right? Oh my God, if I keep doing that, I got a Keurig and gallons of water in this office. I could stream all day, tamed up on hot tea or something, and we could really get weird with it. American Trent 007, thank you for your super chat. Asian Stereotypes, a Goldfinger story. We're going to need a bigger burqa from Russia with Love story, Bland. James Bland, a Moonraker story. Oh my God, yeah, I forgot you just saw Goldfinger for the first time. The poor Chinese guys. The worst one, Trent, was the guy that got smushed behind the door when he opened up the vault of Fort Knox. He's just like, ah! Talk about a terrible way to go, because you're not instantly dead. Like, you're crushed and your internal organs are bleeding and you're slowly dying from the inside, and no one can save you or will save you. And they just throw you on a heap of dead bodies and you fade away forever. That got dark. Thank you, Sammy Sunday. I appreciate that compliment. What is one specific Disney movie that I like? There are a lot of Disney movies that I have liked. I used to love, well, Aladdin, The Lion King, Toy Story 1 and 2, if you count those as Disney films and not Pixar flicks. I like the first Incredibles. I did get out of Disney films fairly early, though. If you were to look at my movie collection and you don't count the MCU, I don't think I have more than 2 Disney films on DVD and or Blu-ray. Got The Incredibles right here. That's it. I just don't do Disney anymore. It's not about trying to sound cool or be against the direction of Star Wars. It's just I grew out of this shit really, really early. If you would have met me when I was 10 years old, I would have been able to talk to you about Predator and Aliens. No, not Aliens, sorry. Predator and Terminator and all those movies and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I was into as a kid. I had a more mature taste in terms of film. Martial arts were fun as a kid. I was a big kid and I wanted to be a Power Ranger, so that's why I got into them. It was a lot of fun for a while. You know, I should have stuck with it, but I didn't. Like with piano lessons, I should have stuck with those too. I'm thinking about getting back into them just for fun because I play the keyboard all the time for the hell of it. I do like Tron Legacy. Yeah, Tron Legacy. I saw that in theaters twice, and I don't regret it. I wish it wasn't a flop because I would go back to see Tron 3. I would be like, hey, Disney sucks, but I liked the last Tron movie, so I'm going to go see it. I have Fox and the Hound. I have a ton of Disney movies on VHS, but we're talking, my grandma was buying me these in like 94, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The last Disney animated film I saw in theaters was Mulan. Olivia Wilde was hot in that Tron movie. Isn't she married to Jason Sudeikis? Good for him. Tron Legacy did have a phenomenal soundtrack. It's on my phone. Keep it with me at all times. There's only a couple tracks that I don't enjoy. Of the tracks I do love, I like Derezzed. I like the opening credits. I like the end credits. Rinsler. There's just so much. That was such a cool movie. Maybe it didn't have as much substance as I would have liked in points, but it was such a cool movie that got by with the cool points. Plus, it's got the dude in it, man. Oh God, ScarJo is the Meg. We got our ScarJo memes back. So last night, if you missed it, we had our live hangout and we covered all kinds of shit. And we were talking about Scarlett Johansson playing other roles, and ScarJo has everything pop up. But now we have ScarJo as the Meg. Kevin Burris, thank you for your super chat. Great content, best YouTube. Thank you very much, Kevin. I mean this sincerely, guys. When I hear stuff like that and there's just this outpour of positivity and the numbers show that you guys like what we do, I appreciate it, and it makes me excited to do more. I know some people were like, where was yesterday's video? Believe me, I didn't like not putting it out either. I wish I had the ability to put out, 7 videos a week and go live 7 times a week and all that stuff. But I do what I can do, and even when I'm tired and shit, you guys make it worth it, so thank you. Ethan Hunt versus James Bond. I'm gonna go with Bond out of I love James Bond so much. Ethan Hunt's cool, and I cannot wait for the next Mission Impossible. Is that this weekend? Let me look that up, because if that's this weekend, I had originally planned to do stuff. I'm gonna go see Mission Impossible. I have to see that movie. And now, Mondi, if I outsource some of my work, I can't guarantee that it's gonna live up to the standard that I, require it to. So don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Ethan Van Sciver versus James Bond. I love EVS, but man, I'm going James Bond all day. And I think Ethan will understand. I'm not going to go watch The Meg because I don't like sharks. You guys know that. I hate sharks with a passion. And yes, Mission Impossible comes out next week. Okay. Shit. Yeah, man, I'll have to wait. Billy Ritchie, thank you for your super chat. Ethan Hunt versus James Bond versus Atomic Blonde. I'm going to go with James Bond again. I've never seen Atomic Blonde, but I like James Bond. I just wanted to shoot everyone in the head, and boom, there we go. No, I don't think Henry Cavill's career is dead. If anything, I think he's smart, and he's going to have a longer career. Mission Impossible 6 is going to come out, and people are going to be praising him, and they're going to forget about the shit he just said 2 weeks ago, because that's how the world works with this 24-hour news cycle. And then he's going to get a new role. I really want him to be Bond. Give him a chance. Get rid of Daniel Craig. Get Henry Cavill in there. Let's bring the series back to some fun action on top of the serious stories. No more Bond is a crying individual looking for his mommy. No. Let's have Bond be that old school badass man that we need. The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey. $2 for the world-class friendly people. Well, thank you, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey. I appreciate that. New on Shill Media, Jeff Hicks is a sharkist. I fucking hate sharks, but I do like the movie Sharknado. All of them. They're so dumb, they're funny. I just don't like. I'm not like actually afraid of sharks in theory. Like Dion's afraid of horses, but I don't want to go into the ocean and swim with them. I'm not fucking around with that. But like if I go to an aquarium, I'm not going to be afraid because there's a shark on the other side of the wall. I don't have an irrational fear of sharks. I just don't like the idea of being eaten by anything. So that's why, I don't like sharks. I'm not really I'm not concerned that sharks are going to fall from the sky. There's going to be one flailing down the street. If there is, I'm staying inside. A shark's not going to be able to eat its way into my house and climb up the stairs and get me. I'm not afraid of that. Dion's afraid that a horse is going to find him in his third floor apartment and trample him to death, or do naughty things to him. That's the life Dion lives. And Jaws is a great movie. I'm not shitting on Jaws. I just don't love it. Alpha Terranema, thank you for your super chat. Bond versus Hunt versus Bourne versus Snake versus Spy versus Spy. Well, you threw Solid Snake in there, and Spy versus Spy. In reality, I think what would happen is Bond would fight Bourne, and Ethan Hunt would get killed by Solid Snake. James Bond would beat Jason Bourne. James Bond would fight Solid Snake, and then Spy versus Spy would be the last two survivors, and then they would blow each other up, and so nobody wins that fight. That's what I think would happen. I'm not into vor. I don't know what that means. Bond versus Bourne versus Solid Snake versus Optimus Prime. Sure, we'll go with Optimus Prime. He's a robot in disguise. He's got that all-spark matrix in his chest. He'll just do like a unibeam thing, and boom, we're done. Modern Piranha was total carnage. I liked the first Piranha that came out, was that 2010? I saw that in theaters. That movie was crazy. See, now that's the type of movie I can get behind for shutting off your brain and watching. It's just stupid, violent, full of nudity. It's just a dumb movie, and I liked every minute of it. Rocket Insano, thank you for your super chat. Bill Murray, The Man Who Knew Too Little, Best Spy. I saw that movie once years ago. I don't even remember it. I just know watching it as a kid at my Aunt Pat's house. But Bill Murray is the man. Do I like the Splinter Cell games? Yes and no. I liked the ones earlier on, and then I played the first one for 360 Secret or Double Agent or something Agent, and I did not like that one. But the ones that came before that, I liked. Nicholas Glenn, thank you for your super chat. Netflix should have got Cobra Kai. It would have helped. Yes, I guess that would have helped. I think it did really good numbers, though, over on YouTube Red. Cobra Kai was so good. I know we talked about it last month, but I want to talk about it again. It was such a good show. It goes to show you that you can revive old school franchises and they don't have to suck. They don't have to be filled with modern garbage. You can have them be true to themselves. The characters could be similar in a modern setting, and that's how the shit should work. But Nicholas, if Cobra Kai was successful enough on YouTube Red to get a second season, it may not be doing as bad as we think. Plus, it's got a soundtrack coming out. They'll probably release some merchandise around Comic-Con, or at least announce it. So Cobra Kai may be better off than we actually realize. Let's see. Drop Dead Fred or The Burbs? I'm going with The Burbs. I love The Burbs. That's a fantastic movie. I'm trying to think, are there any actors from The Burbs that are going to be at Horror Hound? Not that I know of. Tom Hanks is way too big for a convention. I'd love to meet him, though. That'd be fun. I'd ask him a bunch of questions. I'm not even a big Tom Hanks fan. I just have a bunch of questions for him. Mexican wrestlers versus Jason Bourne. I think Rey Mysterio would beat Jason Bourne. I, too, would prefer a District 9 sequel over an Avatar sequel. I won't be watching the Avatar sequel unless we get 1 million subscribers and all those subscribers request an Avatar sequel review. And then I'll do it because there's just too many people to say no to. But other than that, I hated the first Avatar with a fucking passion. That movie was not fun. I saw Fern Gully back in the 90s. I've seen Pocahontas. I've seen every other movie it ripped off, and I wasn't impressed. Oh my God, blue creatures on winged things? Awesome. I saw Star Wars. They may not have blue creatures, but they had wampas and tauntauns and a much better script. Alpha Terranema says, forgot to add the guy from Spy Hunter. If it's the one from 3 that he's played by The Rock. Thank you, Alpha Terranema, for your super chat. And now I have to think about somebody versus The Rock. Ugh. I'm only going to still stick with James Bond because the Spy Hunter character played by The Rock was never in the film. Remember, they made that game and it never was turned into film. So all James Bond has to do is eject the disc from the PlayStation, break it in half, and he wins. But if he was real, I still think a gadget-laden Aston Martin can hold its own against the Spy Hunter car. Say what you will against the Die Another Day car being stupid because it was invisible. It did have some other cool gadgets, like the missiles in the front, the spiked wheels. One of the coolest stunts from Die Another Day was when the car was upside down sliding, and what's his face? Rick Yoon's character, Zhao, was going to shoot a missile at him, and James Bond opened up the roof and then hit the ejector seat and flipped over the missile. I thought that was cool. Like, that movie sucks, but that scene is fucking incredible. Sire J. Longstroke. First off, Sire J. Longstroke, before I read your super chat, I read your message last night about you at a playground, and I laughed my ass off, but I didn't know when the right time to read that on air was, so thank you for that one. Secondly, thank you for this one. Star Wars Episode 9. The remaining Resistance members will team up with the Avengers. Star Wars/Marvel crossover will be the biggest movie ever. That is, honestly, that's one way you could save Star Wars if the Guardians of the Galaxy showed up to help fight the Resistance, the Empire, or whatever they're called. That would be bizarre. Even I would be on board with that. I'm like, now I gotta see it. Now I'm really interested. And it would beat Wicked, and it'll beat all those other things. You know, somebody earlier was asking about the crossover you'd like to see. Star Wars character, like in Lego Batman, or no, the Lego movie, how we saw the Star Wars characters and Batman and all those things crossover. I thought that was fun. If you had something like that in live action, that could be the next step to make billions of dollars at the box office. Maybe you'll see it in a manga, or not just a manga, an anime. You'll see a weird crossover, and that would work. And then they'll try it in American media. I think crossovers are the next big step because the more people move away from the theaters, they'll need something like a big spectacle to go. And that could be it. That could be your one thing that gets people constantly hooked. Rocket Insano. I was rooting for the lieutenant in Avatar. Oh, the old guy with the flat top. He was in something else I watched recently. Or maybe not recently, but he was in something else I've seen. He was pretty good. His name's like Steven something. I wasn't rooting for Jake Sully or that Joel Michael Moore guy or whatever his fucking name was. The guy that was in Grandma's Boy, Adios Turd Nuggets, that guy. He is weird. He is very weird. I don't know if a horse hurt Dion in a very bad place, but Dion's just irrationally afraid of horses. It's funny as shit. Oh man, Rocket Insano, this is the best comment of the morning. No contest. Sean Connery already beat The Rock. That's awesome. I wish I would have came up with that. Damn it. I'm gonna steal that and claim it as my own, and then give you credit here on the show, Rocket Insano. Here's a good question. Would I watch a Shadow/Phantom crossover? Bet your ass I would. That'd be cool as shit. So we would have, okay, so the Shadow takes place in the 30s and the Phantom is in the what, 40s? Yeah, maybe it's the 30s. That would be so cool, though. I wouldn't want Alec Baldwin as the Shadow, though. I'd want new actors, essentially, but I really did like Billy Zane as the Phantom. I know the Phantom was a flop, and I can't argue that it's the greatest movie of 1996. But what I can argue is that as a little kid in 1996, I was on the edge of my seat at that movie. That was so cool. It was like Raiders of the Lost Ark met Batman, met something else. And it was fun. And I thought he did a really great job. He got in shape for the role. Much respect for Billy Zane. He's a really good actor that I don't think it's enough mentioned in history. Yeah, he was in Back to the Future. Yeah, he was in Titanic. But he just has a great voice. Now, Billy Zane should be doing some more voice work. He could voice a Lex Luthor, maybe even Batman, depending on how he, modulates his voice. That'd be sweet. I like Billy Zane. Will Dion scream if I show him My Little Pony? Maybe. We'll find out. Dion and I are going to be drunk at Horror Hound, and I hope you guys can come check it out and hang out with us. I'll bring a My Little Pony. I'll take some of these super chats. The more we get, the bigger My Little Pony I'll buy. I'll be honest. If I got like some crazy amount of a super chat, I'd buy some really fucked up fake horse and take it to Dion and watch his reaction. Oh no, we can rent one of those Shetland ponies and bring it like into a hotel room or something. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. A Western starring Dion. The funny thing is, Dion loves Westerns, but he hates horses. I'm going to bring that up to him tonight because Dion's going to be on the High Council. I'll be like, so Dion, tell the listeners, all 2,000 of us, why do you hate horses and why do you like Western movies and why do you like the Phantom so much? Because he rides the horse. Was it Nightmare or Midnight or some shit like that? Oh, a horse head. I would love to pull a Godfather on Dion, but he is my best friend and I don't want to traumatize him because, like, we could joke. That would fuck with him mentally forever. My sister got kicked by a horse. That's not funny, but that's what Dion's afraid of. Billy Ritchie, thank you for your super chat. My dad was excited for the Phantom and got me the poster back in '96 and everything. Saw it. Dad said nothing about it until last year when I mentioned it. I'm disappointed that your dad wasn't. He didn't like it as much as he thought he would like it. I have a Phantom action figure from the movie. It looks nothing like Billy Zane. It's shitty, but I have it. Kind of. The pulp heroes of the 40s, 30s, and 40s that they tried to bring into the 90s in terms of movies didn't fare well, which kind of sucks. Maybe now would be a good time to bring them out as a nice change of pace from the MCU interconnected universes. Something old is something new again. I'm just thinking of your dad being disappointed, Billy. Like, oh man, the Phantom's gonna be awesome. Let's go. And nothing. I guess I had the benefit of being 7 years old. So when you're 7 years old, different things have different levels of quality to you. Do a Patreon hangout with Dion watching The Horse Whisperer. I saw The Horse Whisperer in theaters with my grandma. It didn't like it. Timothy Riggs says, first off, Timothy, thank you for your super chat. Dances with Smurfs sequel, just so I can fail hard. That would be funny if a movie studio put out a movie just to fail. That'd be I don't know if that's been a movie idea yet, but that'd be a really cool concept for a story. If it hasn't been made, I'm taking it right now. A movie has to, maybe it is real. A studio has to put out a movie so bad for tax reasons it has to flop, but then it's great. I think it's a real movie. I'm not going to take credit for that. That might be a real movie. Let me know if that sounds real down in the chat. Ooh, worst sequel, Dumb and Dumber 2 or Independence Day 2? I've never seen Independence Day 2, but I know Dumb and Dumber 2 is worse. Okay, it's the producers. I knew that plot sounded crazy. We watched that in college. There we go. I can't take credit, and I won't even attempt to take credit. I just thought that sounded crazy. Nope, it's real. God damn, Mel Brooks is awesome. Springtime. Yeah, it's called Epic Movie. Predator versus E.T. Predator would eat E.T. for breakfast, dude. All right? He can stick his little finger up, and the Predator's just going to chop it off. Skyline or Gold Star? Skyline. Gold Star is... Ugh. I don't like any of those chili places. I'm not trying to sound like a snob. I live by them, so they're not that good. The Horse Whisperer, you mean Prince Charles and his lovely wife? That was mean, John Harrison. Yeah, I know about the 1994 Fantastic Four flick. Not only do I know about it, I've seen it a handful of times. I've watched the documentary about it. It's the best Fantastic Four movie out there. It's was made to retain the rights. I know that story very well. And the cast and crew thought it was going to be real, except Roger Corman. He knew the real deal about it. And I remember as a kid, you would see or hear things. Like you wouldn't see stuff published in big magazines, but I'm positive as a kid I saw images from that movie in books, and you would hear about it, and it never happened. And so you were waiting, and then '98 came with Blade, and then the X-Men movie came out, and then eventually you got a new Fantastic Four flick. So I've seen the '94 Fantastic Four. It's on YouTube. When I let Armando GTZ in the High Council, I don't know who that is. Like I said, people are welcome. They can come on the show, and if they're cool, awesome. I don't think we've actually had a failed High Council episode. There was one or two that people were like, I didn't really like this one as much, but none of them were failures. None of them were failures. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer was cool. It was something. I don't know if cool is the word I'd use to describe it, but I did see it in theaters opening weekend. Winter Soldier or Avengers Assemble? You must be an international listener. Because, yeah, Marvel's Avengers Assemble is the name of the first movie in the UK. I'll go with First Avengers. Oh, shit. First Avengers, better movie going experience. Winter Soldier, better movie. Rocket Insano. What did you think of Sean Connery in The Avengers? Well, the Avengers movie with Sean Connery, Uma Thurman, and Ralph Fiennes sucks. We rented that on tape in what would have been 99. I hated that movie. I liked James Bond at the time. Uma Thurman was cool enough, I guess. I mean, what 10-year-old really thinks Uma Thurman's this great actress? Not many people. But I hated the movie. I liked the old show, The Avengers, with Patrick McNee and either Honor Blackman or Diana Rigg. I've watched that through BBC America reruns. That and The Saint used to run back to back, and I'd watch that. But the movie's stupid. There was like an army of bears or like a group of bears meeting. It was a stupid movie. Rocket Insano. That's all I remember. What do I think the best way to marathon the MCU movies is? Chronological or year of release? Definitely year of release. So start with Iron Man, end with Infinity War. I know there are certain things that tie the movies together, but that's just too confusing. You want to watch complete stories, watch them or they came out. I probably won't go to the Cancer Cast because they go on after the High Council, and then I have to be up early for this show. So it's kind of hard to do live streaming at like 2 and 3 in the morning when I need to be up by 6:30 at the latest to get here for you guys for Good Morning Pop Culture. So, UDF or Graders? I guess Rotten to the Core is local. Or you just Googled Cincinnati Foods. It depends on the flavor of ice cream. UDF has certain flavors that are better than Graders, and sometimes Graders just gives you shit portions. The Graders by my house doesn't give the best portion, so good night, Sire J. Longstroke. Thank you, and good night, and be safe in China. But yeah, it depends on the ice cream and what I'm in the mood for. UDF is cheaper, but that doesn't mean it's cheaper quality ice cream. Well, it's not French pot made by the court and all that other shit. I don't know. Grater's is overrated. Much like a lot of Cincinnati specialties, it's overrated, just basic food. Yes, I've seen Weird Al's movie UHF. We actually watched that on vacation this past WrestleMania. So all the guys were together. We woke up in the morning, UHF was on. Then no, wait, it was Beavis and Butthead, then UHF, and then Tommy Boy came on. It was like Tommy Boy, Beavis and Butthead, UHF, and then Ash vs. Evil Dead. It was like a really good string of movies and TV shows. We had to leave, but that was a really fun morning just to watch shit. Tell this Armando GTZ guy to email me, worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com, and I'll add him to the list. I'll see if I can get Midnight's Edge for the next World Class Bullshitters week here on the channel, or here on the High Council, and then Armando after that. No, I do not think that Warner Brothers and Disney would ever team up to do a Marvel DC flick. If anything, Disney will eventually acquire the DC brand, which sounds dark. Jet Li, Jackie Chan, or Chuck Norris? I'm going to go with Jackie Chan. I do like Chuck Norris quite a bit for all the wrong reasons, but Jackie Chan is legit incredible. Let's see. Best video game villain. Well, they never really win because you beat them. I do like Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, or Ganondorf from the Twilight Princess, when that villain snaps his neck out in the field at the end. That was pretty cool. Revolver Ocelot, I like him from Metal Gear Solid. Trevelyan from GoldenEye, that's a cheap answer, and I don't apologize. Oh, that's a hard... I'm trying to think of all the video game villains. I've played a lot of video games, but I can't think off the top of my head right now. Yeah, I'm sad that it got canceled too, in terms of Ash vs. Evil Dead. That's sad to me. A lot of the good shit gets canceled. Hopefully they're just doing it to make an Evil Dead 4. And I'm not saying I want Evil Dead 4 more than I want Ash vs. Evil Dead. Sorry, I was reading a meme somebody posted on the Facebook page. 532 minutes long. J.J. Abrams reveals the runtime for episode 9. Yeah, right. That's so fake. There's no way. There is no way that would ever happen. I don't personally like the Hobbit trilogy, and no one on the channel does either. I know Phil likes his Lord of the Rings stuff, and that's all for him. If you guys ever need to talk to Phil about Lord of the Rings, don't. Our email address is worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. Yeah, there's no Gmail. It's just straight up mail. That's a real email address. Mail.com is real. So you should check that out if you ever need to contact us. Stand Against Evil. Is it as good as Todd in the Book of Pure Evil? Who would I cast to play the Bullshitters in World Class Bullshitters biopic? I think we'd all go to acting classes and play ourselves because we lived the experiences. But if you want an answer like that, I don't know of any actors that are really like the way we are, or at least characters they play. One of the Broken Lizards guys can play Kendo. That's the best I can think of off the top of my head. Because one thing I will tell you guys is we're the same off air as we are on air. Like, I don't really ham it up. I mean, I can ham it up if I need to. But overall, I'm pretty genuine. It's what you see is what you get. And I think that's one of the benefits of this channel. I don't know if Cecil will be on the High Council tonight. We got Pat from Please Rewind. I definitely want to get in depth on some stuff. Maybe we'll get Cecil close us out. Who knows? So you'll be surprised. I always want to keep you guys hanging. I always want to keep you guys wanting more, or coming back to see what happens next. See any more questions? This can go on as long as we get the good questions. Let's see. Like No. You used to like Star versus the Force of Evil, but now it sucks. Not sure. I like the original trilogy more, but Lord of the Rings trilogy is better made films. I'd still watch A New Hope or Empire over any of the Lord of the Rings films. So basically, the Lord of the Rings films are better than Return of the Jedi. Would Bobcat Goldthwait cameo as a Triple X EVS? Yes. Yes. Yeah, I won't be watching the Amazon Lord of the Rings series at all. I have no interest in that. How do I feel about Watchmen being remade in name only? So Wino, Watchmen in name only? I don't like it. Watchmen is a very good, I won't say very great, very good graphic novel or comic book series, depending on how you want to read it. The movie's okay, but I don't think you should touch it ever again. I think the movie was the most faithful adaptation you'll ever get. Yeah, Zack Snyder sucks in some of the DC stuff, but that was done right. No, I don't want to see the HBO Watchmen in name only. It's just going to be another posturing piece of shit. I'll skip that completely. There are other superhero things that I have skipped too. Like I didn't watch Cloak and Dagger. I have no desire to watch Runaways. I have no desire to watch any more of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Watchmen can, take a leap. I'm not going to watch it. The ABC's of Death. That was an okay movie. I watched it years ago when my old horror podcast, Bloody Good Horror, recommended it. And it was good enough, but it wasn't anything. It wasn't as good as VHS 2. The VHS and VHS 2 blew me away in terms of anthology horror in the modern era. I still think Creepshow's the best, but VHS 2 and VHS 1 were pretty damn awesome. Top 3 actresses I had a crush on as a kid or teen. I did like Scarlett Johansson going back as a kid. Trish Stratus, the wrestler, #1 of all time. Trying to think back in the day who I really liked because my tastes have changed. Salma Hayek, I always liked her. So there's 3. Scarlett Johansson, Salma Hayek, and Trish Stratus. No Doomcock tonight. I'm sorry. See, Watchmen is one of the best modern novels written or drawn. It says Harry Dean Satan. I like that screen name a lot. What's the best remake? I mean, do you consider The Thing a remake? Because there you go. I consider it an adaptation of a book. But I do like The Thing a lot. I always look over to my shelf to see if I own any movie remakes. Scarface. I like that one too. I think I actually like Scarface more than I like The Thing. That's just my own personal taste. My favorite Evil Dead film is a tie between 2 or Army of Darkness. 1's fine, but I don't really like it that much. Classic WWE, your Attitude Era? Attitude Era. You had The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle. Way, way more fun. Yeah, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and all this characters are great, but the stuff was more engaging in the Attitude Era. And I'm talking 99 through 01 Attitude Era to the end. I'm not talking early 97 and crap that came out in 98. Like 98 is the most overrated year of wrestling ever. Rush Hour 2, Die Hard 2, Lethal Weapon 2. Put them in order. Lethal Weapon 2, Rush Hour 2, and then Die Hard 2. I love Lethal Weapon 2. I think it's the best of lethal weapons. Who would I rather face/survive, Predator or Jason Voorhees? Well, Predator, I think we're all fucked because he can go invisible and all that stuff. Jason Voorhees, if I stay out of the woods or Manhattan or Canada for that matter, I think I can survive. What did I think of V for Vendetta? Don't like it. It was a movie I watched in college with a lot of faux intellectuals that I didn't like the people I watched it with. I didn't really care for the movie. I'm sure it has more depth than I'm giving it credit for in the 10 seconds I'm going to continue to talk about it. But from the times, and I do mean times multiple, that I've seen it, I just didn't like it. So I'm sorry to crush that. I hope when I say I dislike something that you guys like, I hope it doesn't piss you off to where you like just don't want to watch anymore. It's just, differing opinion. There are people out there that like Home Fries or It's Pat, and I think you're crazy, but I'll respect you enough to talk to you. Rocket Insano. The only reason I kept Netflix was BoJack Horseman, and now Egresugoku. What keeps you subscribed? Dan, because Dan pays for the WWE Network and I pay for Netflix and we share. Also, I do like, when you brought up BoJack Horseman, I remembered I like F is for Family. I watched all that in 2 days. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm a fan of Bill Burr, and I like it that it's raunchy, fun comedy in animation form. I don't like not Braceface. Braceface was a cartoon I actually watched as a kid. What was the new one? Big Head or that Big Mouth, whatever. Big Mouth. That was dumb. I watched 2 episodes of that and turned it off. That show sucks. For every time you get like 10 Big Mouths to 1 F is for Family, and that's what pisses me off about Netflix. But the honest to God reason is I keep subscribed because Dan and I split. Paid Netflix, he pays WWE, and so we just share streaming services. If they were to ever get rid of the ability to share, then I would cancel Netflix and go for WWE, even just to watch old Rock matches. Grand Inquisitor, thank you for your super chat. Predator versus a team of Wookiees. Thoughts? The Wookiees would be able to smell him. So if the Predator can keep out of like groups of Wookiees and he can take them out from a distance one by one, I think he has a chance. If the Predator pops up and one Wookiee grabs a hold and they can all get together, they'll probably rip him apart. And if he doesn't have a chance to hit his nuke button on his arm, the Wookiees will kill him. That'll be it. If Arnold Schwarzenegger could beat him in a battle of wits, I think Wookiees through sheer force and numbers will rip apart the Predator. You loved the Hellboy flicks. I like the first one. I don't really like the second one. Thank you, Walter. Fuck it. Let's go bowling. I appreciate that. Predator versus Boba Fett. Ooh, that'd be fun. Now, that's a fanfic that needs to get funded. I mean, I'm not going to fund it because I don't have any stake in it outside of I want to watch it. But if somebody's out there thinking about making it, please do. Big Chap, thank you for your super chat. Jeff, seen Rogue Trooper film being made. Thoughts? Like from Star Wars? Like the character Rogue Trooper? Let me look it up. Make sure I'm thinking of the right thing before I give you guys. Oh, from 2000 AD. Okay. Sorry. I think the only 2000 AD stuff I've read is just the Judge Dredd. But Rogue Trooper is a science fiction strip of the British comic 2000 AD created by Jerry Finley Day and Dave Gibbons. All right, Dave Gibbons, my man. Ooh, follows the adventures of Rogue, a genetic infantryman, a genetically created blue-skinned manufactured super soldier, and his 3 comrades in search of the traitor general. His comrades are in the form of biochips, onto which GI's entire personality is downloaded at the time of death for later retrieval, and are being named Gunner, Bagman, and Helm. He's genetically engineered to be immune to almost all known toxins, can submerge in strong acid unaffected, and is able to withstand a vacuum in his bare skin. That sounds cool. That sounds really cool. That'll be one, as long as it doesn't look like Valerian. If this is an R-rated, gritty space war movie, a Spore movie, if you will, they got my money. This seems cool. Even if it's not based on a comic book, just that concept sounds cool. I'm looking at some of the images right now. There's a game for PS4. Didn't know that. The game doesn't look anything good. But, yeah, if they do that well and they get some really neat visuals out of it and it doesn't have the budget of a heavy metal flick, you could have something really cool here, something different and new. You got to do it violent and gritty in the way Dredd looks, but you got to have the scale of a battle. Maybe make it look like Rogue One meets District 9 meets Dredd meets Saving Private Ryan or something. That's just based off this little bit of information I'm checking out right now. Is that Arzak? No, that's not Arzak he meets. That seems cool, though, Big Chap. Now it's something for me to keep a lookout on my radar. And maybe I'll see if I can go to my site and read Rogue Trooper comics online and get a little into the character. I love classic 80s sci-fi, especially from the UK. 2000 AD, if they released like a digital version of all of 2000 AD for a relatively affordable price, that'd be something I'd like to check out. Let's see. You should read Johnny Alpha from 2000 AD too. All right. That's noted. How do you feel about Carl Urban, the actor, still fighting for a chance for a Dredd online series? I like that. That goes to show you an actor cares about a franchise or a role, and they'll give it their best. So when you hear Carl Urban out there fighting in the streets, literally in the streets, for a Judge Dredd continuation, you know he's going to do a good job. Ooh, Paul Verhoeven to direct it. Yes. What do I think of Walgreens exclusive action figures? I think they're weird. Like, out of all stores, why Walgreens? That's a good question. I live by so many Walgreens, so it doesn't bother me. I mean, there are more Walgreens than there are Toys R Us stores, so why not Walgreens? But yeah, Walgreens is a weird choice. Luckily, I have Joel that works at Walgreens, so like I wanted that limited edition white Boba Fett that they released a couple years back. Joel got it for me, so I got that in my closet with a bunch of other Star Wars Black Series figures that I'll never open up. I don't know very much about Mexican cinema. I apologize in advance. I'm not well versed in stuff. I mean, does Robert Rodriguez stuff count? I've seen El Mariachi, the one with the bus. Yes, El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I've seen those movies. That's about it. The Aquaman trailer comes out on Saturday, I believe, at Comic-Con. Comic-Con's going to be big. Tonight, I'm going to ask Ethan Van Sciver about Comic-Con, not the current Comic-Con that's coming up this week. I meant like, because he's been there, he's worked the show. I'm going to ask him about the scale, if he has any crazy Comic-Con stories, stuff like that. I want to expand the high council a little bit. We're going to read all the chats and do all the stuff that we always do, because that's the format of the show. We don't want to alter it. We don't want to subvert your expectations. But I do think it'd be fun to hear Ethan talk a little more about his experiences, because downplay it if you want, but he was one of the biggest names in comics, and he's got to experience like the top of the top and interact with all the big creators and go to these shows and get VIP treatment. So I think it'd be fun to hear that. Yeah, he talked a little bit last night. I asked him to talk about it on Friday, so I'll get him to talk about it again tonight. Watch We Are What We Are. That's the best Mexican movie. Rocket Insano. Judge Dredd was supposed to be a parody of Fascist State, but they went too far. They ended up making Dredd awesome. It wasn't the only time that happened. I started the Judge Dredd reading at the very beginning because I wanted to. Something about the character hooks me. I like the gritty art style, and I like black and white comics. The older I get, coloring, is less and less important to me in terms of those stories. Have you ever checked out Rocket Insane? Have you ever checked out that 2000 AD documentary? I did, and it was really great. So was the Image Comics one. That's the kind of stuff I really like about comic books nowadays. Is, the people behind the stories. You can read 1001 Spider-Man stories, but to learn more about Ditko and Lee and Romita and all those guys, at least in a different way, it's more interesting for me. And before anyone asks, I don't have a favorite Judge Dredd story or anything like that. Except, I do like that Robbie the robot, that character or whatever he is, that has like a speech impediment. I like that character. You're disappointed. I believe Robert Rodriguez represents Mexico and its culture and cinema. I said, does it? I don't know much about Mexico. RoboCop is the best Judge Dredd movie ever. Yeah. How bad was David Arquette winning the WCW belt? If you've ever smashed your hand with a hammer, it's like that. Favorite non-superhero comics? I'm a big Garth Ennis guy. Oh, favorite non-superhero comics? Ooh, I know I've read a bunch of them. Why? I mean, I'll even take the Punisher out of there because I like Punisher quite a bit. But he crosses over with superheroes, so that gets to that. At one point, I would have said The Walking Dead. When I first discovered The Walking Dead, it was so cool and different and unique, but it kind of got boring and stupid. Y: The Last Man, I liked that. I read that entire thing. That was fun. Yeah, I'll just go with like those two for now. I can't. There's a lot to think about right now. Yeah, The Walking Dead did start out great. It was so strong. Worst Stephen King flick, Maximum Overdrive. It's the worst, but it has the best soundtrack. Isn't that all AC/DC music? um, yeah, I guess Maximum Overdrive does suck. Do we count the Langoliers or the Stand, like those miniseries? Because if you do, I'll say the Langoliers. Yeah, Maximum Overdrive's dumb, but at least it holds up better than the fucking Langoliers with CGI Pac-Man. Let's see. Walking Dead lost you at season 2. I made it through season 2. It's season 3 where they lost me. The concept is so cool, but the budget or the lack thereof or the way it's produced just doesn't make for inspiring or exciting television. It's like the first 2 episodes are great, then the last 2 episodes are great, and that's about it. So it's almost like you could skip everything and just watch those 2 and get the entire season. What person would I never bring on the show here? I don't know. I don't want to close myself off to having a great episode with somebody. It's funny though. I think a lot of people were pissed off that Geeks and Gamers had Mundane Matt on. I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So I guess sometimes that's the risk you guys take when trying to do something new. I kind of feel sorry for him if he lost a lot of subscribers that way, but I don't know. I can't say who I would never have on. Like I said, I don't want to close myself out to the possibilities of like the greatest episode ever. Sometimes you have someone on that you don't expect to be awesome, and it turns out great. Then sometimes you have like a Doomcock on that you expect to be good and turns out to be even better. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say never. A Midnight Cherry TV. I saw that video of Jeffrey the Giraffe fighting the Amazon or wrestling the Amazon box. Yeah, that was on my Facebook page. Somebody messaged me that earlier. That was pretty funny. Highest heights. I don't know what the deal with Mundane Matt is. I don't really like to try to start internet feuds for attention. We've been doing great as is. So why turn ourselves into something mean just to try to get 10 more viewers or something like that? It just doesn't ever work. But I don't know what the deal with him is. I just think there's a whatever. I mean, people must not like him. I don't really deal with all that negativity. Like, I don't sit and dig into why people hate this person or that. I do my own thing, and I think that works here on the channel. We have our own corner of the internet, and it works great. We got a lot of really awesome, dedicated fans. We got a lot of people that come in to watch the videos, more so than you can imagine. Like, I think it works better that way, that we don't get too much involved with the drama. What's the worst comic book movie? Besides Suicide Squad. Catwoman or Supergirl. Those are pretty shitty. I've seen Hardcore Henry. I saw it in theaters. Dungeon says, if you want to have an opinion, you need to hear other perspectives, even by people you may not want to like. That's why I would say that that's what I'd say the whole Monday night situation is. Oh, well, I do think closing yourself off to the opposing opinion is a problem. That's why when Jeremy constantly apologizes for liking The Force Awakens, I don't really take it as an actual affront. I just, I like to give him shit. But I do like to hear, we're going to debate during the show itself. That's going to be a lot of fun. So The High Council featuring Rian Johnson. Sure. If he wants to come on the show, I will stop everything I'm doing at Rian Johnson on the show right now. I'll give him the URL for this, and he can come hang out. I've seen the Crank films. I like Crank 2 more than I like Crank 1. Star-Lord versus Han Solo. I'm going to go with Han Solo. Star-Lord's cool, man, but Han Solo would just shoot him before he'd have time to talk shit. Dion better not roast Jeremy. I don't speak for Dion, so be prepared, big chap, to see what happens. RoboCop versus L337 RoboCop. So, folks, it looks like we're slowing down. The numbers are drifting away. The viewers have lost interest in the Good Morning Pop Culture, so we're going away forever. No, I'm just joking. We're going to put this episode to bed so people can get excited for the High Council tonight. So, thank you to Worst Reviewer. Oh, man, that's a hard question. There are so many. There is one guy called the Bad Movie Reviewer that I enjoy because his videos are so bad. So I like him quite a bit. Fan Forestick, yeah, that's another terrible superhero film. Evil Dead Drunk Watch Party. I was thinking maybe we do an Evil Dead day where we start maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon and we watch Evil Dead, then we do 2, then we do Army of Darkness all in one stream sitting. And then we eventually do maybe Ash versus Evil Dead. I think that could be fun. The High Council is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on World Class Bullshitters. I'll be putting out all the stuff tonight to get you guys ready. I'll have the links prepared and shared. I'll tweet it out. I'll have Ethan and Jeremy retweet. And we'll have Pat from Please Rewind. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Which ending for Army of Darkness? I prefer the original. I slept too long. I like that one quite a bit. But, you know, it depends. Either one I'm okay with. But I do like the I slept for too long one. Yeah, it's a shame we can't stream the movie, but there is the law, and I don't really want to get shut down. So, guys, just, find a copy. It's on, what? Was it $3 on iTunes or whatever? If you have to watch it, or just listen to it. You could stare at a blank wall, or, like I said earlier, watch a copy of Star Wars A New Hope and listen to our commentary on The Force Awakens. It'll be the same exact movie. Thank you, the Baron79. I appreciate that you love the show, and I'll continue to do it. It's fun, it's calming, it's relaxing. I keep trying to make it something that everybody has to be here for. I think today I had a lot of good topics to cover that kept people engaged for the 3 hours now that we've been live. So if you guys like me covering multiple things like that, press F. I don't want to just cover Star Wars every morning because it gets monotonous and boring. The most underrated comic book movie or show? What's the most underrated? Oh. Blade's underrated because people keep talking about how revolutionary Black Panther is, but they don't talk about Blade anymore. I think what's underrated too? The Thomas Jane Punisher, I think, is underrated. I don't think that gets the love. Mystery Men, sure. It's underrated. Just for you, Midnight Cherry TV, I love it. More 007. That's what you want on the channel. Talk about 007 all day, every day. I don't give a shit. Well, I can get into the minutia of it. We can talk about Peter Hunt. We can talk about Maurice Binder. We can talk about everybody. Believe me, I've watched enough documentaries and read enough books about the production of James Bond flicks to write my own book and produce my own documentary. But I won't because they've done it better. Van Helsing. Will we ever cover Van Helsing? Maybe. We are going to do Schlocktoberfest one more time. So for the 409 people that are listening currently, make sure you guys come back and watch all the October content because this is the last time we're going to do horror heavily in the month of October. Now we have a much bigger audience. So if a ton of people come out to watch it, then we're going to do horror every year. If not, well, we tried it 3 times and then, strike 3, you're out. So that type of thing. What Batman comic should I get outside of Killing Joke and The Dark Knight Returns? Batman Hush is a nice book to read. Batman Year One, Death of the Family, Court of Owls. If you want newer stuff, the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams run. That's a good series of Batman stories. There's a lot of good Batman out there. There's a ton worse, though. Batman has more bad than good. I will say that. Should comic book films be accurate to the comics? Even if not being accurate to the comics would result in better film? Yes and no. It really depends. I think it should look like the comic book in terms of the character and the comic book suit or the superhero suit. Like, I don't think a green and purple Spider-Man suit would be good on film. You should remain true to that and the core of the character. There's a reason you're adapting it, so stay true to it. But if you need to alter certain things like organic web shooters or taking out a certain secondary character, I get that, but don't change who the character is. I will Big Chap will keep the British end up. Best Spider-Man. Do you mean like the stories, Captain Chris Stinger, or the best actor? Because if it's actor, I'll just say Tobey Maguire. But if you want the best Spider-Man story, just let me know what you mean. We have talked about the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. We talked about it on the podcast proper. Nobody seems to be excited because DC, just the direction they're going in is misguided. They don't know where the hell they're going. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. It's just a big mess, and no one's going to win at the end of the day. So I'm not excited for that film. Yeah, Spider-Man on PS4 is going to be cool. That's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to that. All right, folks. Well, I'll be back in just a few short hours with the High Council tonight. So get excited. Get yourselves amped up and ready for a night of debauchery, a night of fun, a night of Star Wars, a night of Baby Cecil, a night of Pat from Please Rewind with Dion and Jeremy and all the infighting that you come to love with a Triple X EHE behind the wheel. So, folks, thank you to everyone who makes Good Morning Pop Culture possible. Thank you to everyone who watches World Class Bullshitters religiously. I'll be back tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back until, I don't know, until I'm dead. So thank you for watching. Yes, I've watched The Venture Brothers, and it's a good show. So everyone have a good day. You'll definitely see me later. And if you have nothing to do today, go watch The Twilight Zone because we're living in it.